To start with, just so we're on the same page, Tanya, can you explain the sheet you handed out so we are all on the same page?
Just from right here. Yeah, this is a list of everything from our meeting earlier last week on Wednesday that showed all of the stuff that's kind of up in the air and what we need to finalize on.
So the CC Commissioners Court consideration, those are things that we kind of said we thought we wanted to do.
Or you were going to discuss later and look at, like, if you go down, I believe it was the $8,000. That was the one that I said, wait, I want to check into something. I checked into it. It will not work. So y'all just need to decide, are we going back in with 8,000 or is it going to 0?
Do you think it would be good to just do, after today, we'll have some more and maybe do them all at one time?
That's what I would say, because one decision may make a difference on a different decision. So you can have the total amount that you're looking at.
I think that'd be good, just do them all at one time, you know, or maybe halfway through do them, you know, maybe not each deal. I think that'll work.
I agree doing it at the end. I just wanted to make sure we all understood. On the volunteer fire department, is what's in the budget now? 100,000. So the first column, that's what's in the budget as we're talking. Okay. All right. Any other comments before we get started with?
Well, and that 100,000, that's that's just a number we threw out there for now.
It's just a placeholder.
Right.
Bingo.
Okay.
Ready?
Lucy, you ready?
I'm ready. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am happy to report that my budget has gone down again this year. It went down about 21,000 last year, and this year it didn't go down quite as much. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
We like those. Team players. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't let her off so easy.
Oh, no, we're not through, but that's just
No, I didn't sit back. I just said thank you.
I just looked up my notes. Good job. Hi, Lucy.
That's it?
That's pretty
all I
much.
have.
Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah. Looks pretty simple.
All right.
Yours is pretty simple.
You could buy
Candace, help. I gotta give her credit.
County Court at Law.
Wow, that was right.
Judge.
Talking to her husband.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We came in under budget as well.
428.
Now the only thing I noticed on yours, the court-appointed attorney, that number may change based on the.
I think so. I think you're exactly right.
That one's.
Are you talking about line 415?
401.
401.
No, 402. I'm sorry. 155,000 for court-appointed attorneys. If we have our public defender's office, that line item should come down substantially.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, depending on how quick you get set up.
Right.
What is the, let me make sure I'm looking at the current one. 773. Yeah, on the elected official, that'd be you.
Yes, sir.
The actual in 2019 was 73,000. Now it jumped to 87,000.
That's correct.
And what was the reason for that?
The legislature granted some raises to the judges.
Oh,
20 years, I think it's been a long time.
okay, that answered that. That was a nice 19% raise. That's pretty good.
I'm very grateful.
Boy, you and Lucy, I'm telling you what,
When you got all that new furniture and everything, things are looking up.
Thank you guys. Y'all are very good to us. We appreciate you.
That was my only question.
Okay, that looks good.
All right, thank you. James, thank you for the help. May I be excused?
Of course.
What about, HB 66, what fund is that?
That's general fund. She doesn't have any discretion over it. It's just the second half of her salary that comes from the state.
Oh, okay. That's all, that's where the big bucks are. Okay.
Thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
No question.
Judge Hoyne?
Thanks, sir.
And Judge?
156.
Yours is pretty lean.
Yeah.
A lot of zeros.
No questions here.
Looks pretty simple to me.
Very good, thanks, gentlemen. Hope everybody's doing well.
Yeah, we are. Are you?
All right, do you have to swear me in or something like that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Hardly worth the drive, was it?
It's always good to see you, gentlemen, and ladies.
See, you
good?
gotta learn to say
Yeah.
that. I don't know if this is a happy thing or a bad thing. I was testifying in Congress one time on appropriations for big agency, okay? Got up there to testify, and all members of Congress wanted to do was talk. We didn't say a single word, and it got approved. So just, once it's approved, don't say a word, just leave.
All right, thanks. Appreciate you keeping us all on the straight and narrow.
Thanks, Gerald.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, good job, buddy.
Thank you.
Next will be Judge Mitchell.
Good afternoon.
And
Do
Judge?
y'all have any questions?
Yeah, well, she jumps right to the,
I will do whatever you have to
Well, actually, I did. I cut 3 of the line items. I cut 500 out of my part-time salary, and I cut 300 out of my office supplies, and 100 out of the lease copier.
looks good. Hi.
Perfect.
Is that it?
All right.
That's it.
See ya.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. Judge Ragsdale?
You're up.
We were having a conversation.
Yeah. Don't talk to that
Sorry
guy.
to interrupt.
Well, first, Judge, start with your salary's too high.
But it's good. I don't have any complaints. I don't have any complaints about this budget. Do you? Wait, I'm asking everybody but Jonathan, okay? He's offended because I didn't call him a rosebud. I don't see really any drastic changes from last year to this year.
Pretty much the same.
Nope. It's the same.
You know, on yours, we have a color-coded deal, and when yours is in green, that's a good sign. It's
Yeah.
less than expected, and that's our team player, so thank you.
Good job, bye.
Well, I've been thrown out of better places than this. Thank you, John.
Quit while you're ahead.
Yeah, really.
Who's to speak on the tech fund?
Oh, that should be a combination of all 4 of them.
What do they want to spend the money on, do you know?
I haven't had any of them requested.
Bill,
Bill, before you leave?
you're,
If they're out there,
Doing my best, guys.
what are we talking about?
Technology fund?
All right.
they all escape.
Yes,
There's
There's Kathy, yeah.
20,000 plus minus in the tech fund budget line item. Is that, is there any reason or
I think I have 10, do I?
Well,
total is combined for all?
all of y'all.
Oh, altogether? Why is it like that? Because
No, what's it going to be used for?
I believe the tech fund is used for software support.
For maintenance for Odyssey.
Yeah,
Well, that's
No.
not-
and
We
it's
should just ask
extremely
Bruce.
expensive.
Okay.
It's very expensive. And then we do have, one other thing with tech fund, I think also we're allowed to get some hardware out of that if we need it. We have a dedicated technology fund, and I think we have a county technology fund as well. But I think JP courts have a dedicated technology fund that you guys can't get a hold of.
I knew we shouldn't have called him back.
Yeah. But is that not correct, James? Or did you hear what I said?
It was sort of correct.
And the question was the tech fund, what do we use it for? We use it for software support from Odyssey. Plus, occasionally, if we have to replace some equipment, if there's still money left in there, they try not to use capital outlay for computers and printers.
Yes, and there's also, I think, 2 JPs that have cell phone bills that come out of there every month. It's not much.
Okay.
The other thing we do have is video magistration we're looking at getting.
But we don't have it yet.
No, I'm fixing to purchase it, and it's a subscription per year, and it's $150 a month per JP. And I budgeted in my budget for this next year, which I'm working on now. And in this current year, I'll go ahead and sign that contract, we can probably get it reimbursed out of COVID reimbursement. But we have it in next year's budget, but it is one of those items that specifically says it can be paid for out of the IT tax fund of the JPs for the future.
Now, that's gonna be, software and support, is that what the?
It's not, it's support and software, yeah. It's not hardware, the equipment itself, it's an internet based, but it has to be seizure compliant, compliant, and which it is, and used by agencies all around the state.
I got kinda excited, I thought maybe that's what this was for, and
This fund can be used for that, but I wasn't sure how much was in it, or whether we're going to be able to, so I put it in my budget also.
The fund balance we have there will barely cover enough for the Odyssey building next year. So there's not a lot of room for other projects.
But hopefully next year, we might have more.
Then we want to change the Senate bill to the fees that we collect, it's still up in the air.
but for $600 more a month, we would have
Per.
online, no, that's, he said 150 per court.
150 per judge, there's actually
judge.
9 judges. You're talking 16,000.
We're not just talking about the JP.
But you have to have the 2 municipal court judges, also magistrate for us, county court.
Oh, everybody that also does it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So about 16,000 a year, which I don't think there's enough in the fund.
And would that work for district judges also?
District judges,
And then the county law judge can use it also for other things besides.
Honeywell stand.
Right.
It is.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's probably the only silver lining that has come out of COVID, is that Pandora's out of the box. We had been for umpteen years prohibited from having these types of conferences. And now that they mandated it one time, you're not gonna be able to put that toothpaste back in the tube. And I think it's going to really, really help. It'll help us some, but it will really help district judges as far as if, let's say they had an emergency TRO that came up and they're in Bandera hearing cases, he could actually have a Zoom conference with the movements and that thing. It's gonna help a lot.
Same thing with the jail filling up.
Yeah.
We go out and magistrate once a day, they can call us and say, hey, we've got more in, we need to get a magistrate, we can get back from our office. Our home.
And I think it covers mental health as well.
Zoom, they're doing mental health, video magistration.
Well, but I mean, as far as I get called up, especially on Fridays, I get called a lot, hey, we need so many papers signed. And if I can do that electronically as opposed to dropping what I'm doing at my office and running down here to take care of it and go back and finish in my office, I can do it from my office.
Do you use DocuSign?
It's included in this,
Yeah,
it's a
okay.
legitimate electronic signature.
Yeah, okay.
On this video magistration, the JP signatures, they can log into it from any internet access area computer that they have,
Yeah.
okay? And their signature, along with the forms, is already pre-uploaded in it, so
I
they
see.
just attach it.
Use a pen.
Now, because it's live at the jail and used for inmates, the inmates have to be able to sign it.
Right.
So I will have to also purchase, it's about a $500 electronic signature deal that will hook to the computer we have already at the
Okay.
jail, so that after the magistration, the inmate signs it live on it, and we can print everything
Okay,
out to
good.
the jail.
Okay, good deal. Thanks.
And it's kept, the recording's kept, because by
Yeah.
law, we have to have 30 days for misdemeanors, 90 days for felonies, and this is kept.
Now, every bit of it's recorded and kept, and the documents are kept and everything else, so it's really
Okay.
could help
Very good.
a lot of ways.
Now starts another thing, storage,
That
a
will
new
come
storage
in.
facility.
Good.
Well,
No, this is.
I don't mean a building, I mean a new thing to store,
right.
Not us.
box. It stays in the,
Wow.
cloud.
It's there, it's
It's
part of that,
theirs.
it's part of that 150, they take care of the storage, we can pull it up and
That's good.
But it will reduce paper, I think, a lot. And that's a subtle cost. The paper is even a subtle cost of about a nickel a shot every time they do it, plus a place, once you create a paper, you have to store it for 5 years or more. Some of his documents are permanent. And so it's probably gonna come out helping us a lot.
All right.
Fund 13, Justice Court Building Security.
Yes, this is one we've actually had for a while. There's about a $39,000 balance in this account. It's for all 4 JPs to use as they agree to. If any one of them.
This is on Fund 13, speaking of?
Yes,
Fund
sir.
13.
Okay.
If anyone has security needs, this is where we can take it from.
So there was $10,000 last year in the budget, none has been spent, so we're putting another 10,000 in, just as a,
It's an arbitrary number.
Yeah.
We could budget the entire amount in the fund or less.
See if we
I haven't
make-
had anyone request any.
okay, so it's just there if we need it.
Okay.
I have a question, can that also be, could that be used for this too? For the courthouse security, yeah, or not? Probably not.
Well, since you guys are located in the courthouse, that may be illegal.
But I'm not.
It would be, and one thing we do,
It's not-
used to use some of it for, is I do provide through Guardian camera system and emergency panic system for JP4's office. That maintenance through Guardian or whatever can come out of that fund too.
Did some of
We're paying that.
the intercom system come out of this?
It's not the intercom because he doesn't have it at the JP office. Okay? That intercom system is for the courthouse, and I think Bruce and I've got to work around it for a while. But it would only be for the entire courthouse. We need it, not just for 2 JP offices in the courthouse. So I don't think you could use much of you. I mean, it could be, some could be used because their offices are in the courthouse. And security would still be JP security there too, but you couldn't use a lot.
Okay. Right. Constable? Yes, sir. You're next.
What is operating equipment?
Operating equipment could be anything from the radio system or antennas, stationary,
Flashlights.
yeah, batteries.
Okay,
Looks,
no question.
Pretty clean.
yep,
Okay,
looks great.
You didn't
Thank you.
read much this year, it doesn't look like, so.
I didn't read much.
$60 worth of books, I don't know how far that goes.
Yeah. Well, they were helping us on those books through the district clerk's office. And we could get those penal codes and court case reference books. and the clear books, which are important, but so far we've been able to do what we got and get those from other law enforcement.
You get them online, or do you have to?
We order them online through the district clerk's office. They used to have a fund for it, and use those for reference, but Rusty has them at the jail, and he keeps pretty.
This is not a legislative year, so we won't have the high expense of replacing.
Yeah.
Every legislative year, we have to replace them. This is not.
Okay. Juvenile probation?
I believe they are still in court right now. If you have any questions, I'll attempt to answer them.
Yeah.
335, looks like it's really jumped up. And maybe that's something they need to answer. Are we transporting more juveniles, or see that we're gonna transport more? Any idea?
It's my understanding that this budget is determined by the juvenile board. It's more or less a pass go for you guys.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And they approved it, they met, I think it was Friday a week ago.
So I don't know if we can necessarily
Yeah.
add or subtract from any accounts for the budget as an overall.
James, 482, alternate housing,
Yes, sir.
jumped from 69 to 125 to 100.
That budget has always been at least 125, if not more. The 100 is the lowest I've seen it budgeted since I've been here. Granted, the actuals don't.
Well, the actuals one year was 137,
Yeah.
so.
Yes, and that was the same year that I believe we shut down the detention facility.
Yeah, okay.
Now that we're housing out of the county, we don't have that many kids, thankfully.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. But that's what that is. That's for housing outside the county. Got you.
But right now, that number's low.
Right.
Because of
Nobody will
COVID.
take it.
Nobody's taking
Sure.
juveniles.
So who knows next year?
Okay. Training, 487. Actuals 4, 6, 5, jumped to 10. Actuals to date 25. So you asking for 10,000?
I'm not asking for 10,000.
Well, why did it jump? You said you could defend it.
I said I would attempt to explain it. Jason, is this budget approved by the juvenile board?
Yeah.
And
So this is mandate.
it's kind of
That's,
it's kind of a
you
moot
know what
point
that
to go
sounded
line by
like?
line.
Said, I don't know what, it's just what the computer says.
Well, it's what they gave
It's
us.
because the judges,
Huh?
they already approved it, so we really can't.
Yeah.
Well, we can ask.
Kind
We
of
can
fixed
ask.
cost.
I mean, I agree with you, I think that's too high.
That's too high.
And I also think that medical's too high.
And Judge Kelly.
Which line item is
would probably
medical
be able to
charges?
answer some of that
Well, we'll
too.
put it off to the side. and
We can
let-
revisit this one.
Okay, let's come back to that.
All right, let's go on to the county attorney.
She's in that juvenile matter also.
Let's just put her off to the
Commissioners Court.
Which one are we on?
Commissioners Court.
This one, you had asked us to put the conferences back up 500 to 4,000. It had gone down to 3,500,
I think I did.
but I had included that back in, so we're bringing it back around. If there's any further discussion on it.
Other than that, it looks pretty,
Yeah, I don't have a question.
okay.
Okay.
County judge, oh boy, now we can cut it.
Now we can. 400.
Want to do it when he gets back?
Let's take a look at it real quick.
I don't even know that we need to go over it again. We didn't.
Comes in under what it's been.
I don't have any issue.
No,
Yep.
it's pretty much where it needs to be.
Same where it was before. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it hasn't changed.
Mental health,
What you skip? Are we looking at county sponsored next? Or am I wrong?
No.
we have mental health, then county court, then county sponsor.
Okay.
Mental health,
It's come in under. how do county court costs jumped up from a couple of the previous years.
You're on county court or county or mental health?
Mental health.
Okay. I mean, it's about pretty close to where it has been.
We got, one. Like,
Yeah, those are court attorneys, okay, good.
Okay. County court,
426.
This may be another one, this is the judge's budget as well.
okay. Skip that. County sponsored,
We brought this one back. This includes the Diedrich Center. Since they have such a large grant based on the county funds them. That's the 4,500 you see there.
okay.
And that's it, we just put that 4,500 back in, right?
I don't think we didn't take it out.
We didn't
just
take it
wanted to
out.
Check on their grant status.
You're right, you're right. There, it's prerequisite for
They
them to
need
get
this
that
to get that.
100,000, I believe.
What about the Child Services Board?
That was
We
in a
left-
different,
I asked for that to be left in.
But it's not, I don't see it on this list.
it's in a different department.
Wait till they take a
Department,
break
okay.
or something. Like a visit week or
What's it in?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be,
630, I believe.
It is 6:30.
the amount remain the same?
We have it at the 8,000 right now, which was what we originally had it at. And I think there was some discussion whether to remove it, and we postponed it, thinking we could pull funds from a different area. We could not pull those funds from a different area, so if the court chooses to leave that in, we can keep it at the 8,000 now, or if you don't want to reduce it or take it out, it's your discretion.
It's on this sheet and, yeah. That's it. Then we go to county engineer.
Do we have to stay on this time, or is it just a guideline?
The guy.
Yeah,
Good.
that's
What
a
I
guideline. I
thought.
posted them all together, so we're
Yeah.
not under any time.
Okay, good, super.
Charlie, you're up.
Yes, sir. As you look through the budget, just real quick highlights. Bobby and I went through and made some cuts here and there, about a 24% reduction. Items 310 through 569. That's starting with office supplies and working through the operating equipment. We do have a capital outlay item. It's aerial photography. Aerial photography is done every 3 years.
Is that the 570 capital outlay?
It should be 570 capital outlay.
Okay, $25,000.
$25,000 is our best guess of what that might cost. Those costs would be shared with City of Kerrville, KCAD, Kerr 911, KPUB. However, we're working with KCAD and all those entities right now to try to figure out what's the best option to move forward. We've worked with all those entities in the past, and there's some issues with the aerial photography that we get through pictometry. They've got some strings attached to them as far as what you can and can't do with it, and then there's some oblique images that they have, and also some data that is used for elevation data, and it doesn't work with our software at all.
So is this something that's required that we do this way?
No, it's just.
Well, KCAD has a requirement to do things their way, and they're prepared to do that. All on their own, if everyone else wants to go a different route. Right now, we have met recently. We're trying to find a way to all work together to keep costs down.
So is this 25,000, this is the county's portion of that?
This would be the county's portion of aerial photography in some form or fashion.
Okay.
If this complies or comports with what KCAD needs. If not.
And if
we have to do our
it
own
doesn't, it'll be $25,000 one way or the other, I believe.
And so.
I'll have more information soon. I don't, this is my
Yeah.
best guess right now.
Well, tell us why we need that when we have all these satellite images and everything. How much improved is this and what do we need it
Resolution.
for?
There would be 2021 aerial imageries as opposed to 2018. Or every 3 years is the cycle that you want to be on. That's a real good cycle to be on.
And you don't get the resolution of satellites.
Oh, you get pretty good.
There's the way they're flown right now. It's all done with airplanes and at different heights depending on the resolution you want.
Right.
They can.
That's my point, it's resolution.
Is resolution. I do know the city of Kerrville, they need 6-inch resolution for
Right.
their area. K-Pub needs 6-inch resolution, and it's
Right.
because they're looking for utilities from the air, and they want to be able to see their utilities.
You
County,
can't
Kerr
get
County,
that.
we need 12-inch
You can't
resolution.
get that with an unclassified satellite system.
Right.
Yeah.
Kerr 911 is satisfied with the 12-inch resolution, and KCAD needs 9-inch in between those two. But KCAD also needs oblique imagery. That's where you have three-dimensional views of buildings, and they also need a product called Change Finder, which I think is 15, 16,000. It's very, for what they're getting, it's way affordable. Do it, please, for them, because it helps them to find the changes over the last.
So they can raise taxes.
Yeah,
Right.
I know it.
So, all that to
For
say,
gravel in your
we're all
driveway.
working together. We have a deadline of July 21st to let the Texas Natural Resource Information System, TNRIS, know whether or not we're going to jump on board with them. If we do, it brings costs down, because they're already going to fly the entire state anyway, but they're going to fly it at a resolution that works for them, and they can fly it at a better resolution, and if all the cities and counties jump in on this, we can get really good rates. It could be as low as $15,000 that I need instead of 25. But right now, 25 is my best guess.
Okay. Good.
Plan on coming back to you with more information.
Everything else looks good. To me.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Thank you.
We're going to go back to the judges.
So was that Fund 15?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
So it's Fund 15, county engineer.
county engineer. Now we're going to Road and Bridge.
Road and Bridge.
I did have a couple questions before I get started, and I spoke with James this morning regarding the information put in for salaries. Is that number minus any upcoming longevities? Because I have 5 longevities, and my current fiscal year number matches the proposed.
The salaries are based on a position schedule given by HR about a week ago.
Okay, because our position schedules have the 5 longevities for upcoming fiscal year
It takes
2021.
into account all longevities as it's said.
Okay, because I have some employees that, like one in particular, that is the only position, and her current salary is the same as what's being proposed, and she's up for longevity in the following fiscal year. So I was just wondering about that. And then the other ones are all grouped in the big salary ones, so it's kind of, there's 4 other longevities, and that number matches the current fiscal year. So I was just curious on that.
I think the intent was to make sure that we had all the longevities covered.
That's what I thought too.
Not off of HR.
Okay. Because their position schedule does show the longevities on it, and there's 5 of them.
Check with John.
But my numbers don't reflect that on the upcoming fiscal year. If we can kind of go on down the line on this, we did reduce 310, which is office supplies. It was $41.50 for the current fiscal year. We did reduce it down to 38, and then I noticed that it got reduced down again to 2,300. So not real sure on that, but. Okay, okay, good. So anyways, we reduced on that. We did bring up uniforms just a little bit. We normally budget $20,065. We boosted it up to $20,335. Centus had told us there would be no uniform increases in the next fiscal year, so we're good on that. But we put our boot allowance in there for our guys, and the current fiscal year, we were giving $145 towards a pair of boots, and we wanted to boost that to $150, increase it, to $150. And so we took into account the additional $5 per boot per employee. So that was the increase on that line item, was to bring the boot amount up to $150 from the current $145. Equipment repairs, we just held it at the same.
Call out the line item.
Okay,
Uniform was
450, 450 equipment repairs.
450, okay.
We held the same number. Equipment rental, that's 460. We didn't budget anything in that this current fiscal year, but we had done a free 2-day demo with a asphalt recycler through Nueces Power Equipment. What it does, it grinds up your surface of your road into your substructure. We did it in Precinct 4. We did it on Merritt Road by the Methodist Church, and we also did a section of Kelly Creek Road. This piece of equipment, it cuts it 8 feet across. You can cover a lot of ground, and so I had gotten rental rates from Nueces Power Equipment. Normally it's $7,500 a week for this big piece of equipment. It's huge. If you rent it for 2 weeks, it's $15,000. If you rent it for 4 weeks, it's $15,500. So $500 more, and you get 2 extra weeks.
Can I interrupt you on that? I went out there when they demonstrated it, and I was amazed how quickly it operated. This piece of equipment, of course, they'd like to sell you one, but it's over $400,000. And I thought, you can rent one for $7,500 a week? Are you crazy? That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
They deliver it.
Yep.
And everything, and the speed at which I was sold. The speed that they could, as much as they can do quickly, it's a no-brainer to rent this thing.
So
is that what they're using up on I-10 also? One of those things that grinds it up, puts it back down?
I don't.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
They're heating, they're grinding, they're heating, and then they inject the oil, and then they relight it.
Yeah.
So most of us have seen
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
All kinds of calls about them all being.
Yeah.
This one will not do the heating process, but it's got a big drum. If you look at the pictures, it's got these teeth that actually rotate as that drum is spinning, so it cuts into that surface. If you look at the pictures, you'll see how fine it mills everything up.
I just watched a little bit about approximately, what would you guess they could do realistically, how many in a day?
Oh, I would say you could probably do at least a mile in a day, if not more.
Oh, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I bet you'd be a couple
miles.
miles in a day.
Yeah.
It covers a lot of ground, so I also, because you see the $2,700 in there for equipment rental, that also includes, because our rollers that we have are not near as heavy, and when you start doing that, it's all about getting a good compaction before you actually then go to reseal that surface. So to rent a 10-ton pneumatic roller is $4,050 a month, or $1,350 a week. A 26,000-pound pad foot, 84 inches wide, is $4,131 a month, and it's $1,377 a week. A 26,000-pound smooth drum 84-inch roller is $3,645 a month, or $1,215 a week. So I had figured up everything on this, and I actually had mistaken. I said $27,000. It's $27,500 because the total for all of those for 1 month would be $27,326. Now, as the two crew chiefs and I discussed on it, you know, we may only need it for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So we'll use what we can, but we might start going and be able to cover some pretty good ground. It would help along with some of the roads that need total reconstruction. I think it would be wise for us to do it. It covers a lot of ground in a short period of time.
Yeah, I think this expense would save you money, I think.
Yes.
So, you know, that's what we're looking at.
So that is why you see money in equipment rental where the current fiscal year, we don't have anything in there. And this came about, Bandera County had the piece of equipment, and I'm pretty close contact with their road administrator at Bandera, and they had invited us to go see this unit. And I started talking to the salesperson and was really impressed, and then we got a free 2-day. So those 2 roads that we used it, other than the cost of the fuel, it cost us $0. And we covered some pretty good ground in 2 days.
By comparison, I'm thinking of like Molina, when that was replaced, it was a complete replacement. That took them probably a week to repair it up.
Yeah.
And it's a quarter mile or something.
Yeah.
So this would do that in less than a day.
Yeah, if you look in there, I believe I also have the asphalt zipper that we have. It's 48-inch wide drum. I mean, you can cover some ground, but that 8-foot plus, that piece of equipment, size-wise, the way it moves along a lot faster. You actually have to hook our asphalt zipper into a bucket, and it's the wheel loader that's bringing it along. I mean, we still have a use for that, but if you're trying to cover large areas where you've got, you know, one big, huge base failure, and it stretches a mile long, which when I did that PowerPoint presentation, you saw all the areas that we've got that. I think that this would speed the process up for us. And like I said, we won't own the piece of equipment. It will be a rental. I figured return on investment, I mean, it would take you like 25 years, 20 to 25 years, and by then, the equipment needs to be replaced.
Without a doubt.
So the idea is to line up all the roads that need this and knock them all out?
Yeah, and try to knock them all out in each area that we've got that needs that. Some of our roads don't need that, and that's why I said that if this ends up being a good thing for us, I would recommend that we budget for a month. We may only use 2 weeks of it, you know, in a fiscal year. And some years, there may be 4 weeks worth.
If I remember correctly, didn't they tell us that Bandera County was renting one at that time?
Yes, yes, they had gone and done their 2-day free rental, and then they liked it so much that they're starting now to rent the piece of equipment. And it's the way to go on something like that. The cost to me of $428,000, it's not worth it for that.
Hey Kelly, on line 553, contract fees, what is that? It's jumped from 3,300 to 19,000.
I don't.
Next to the bottom.
553.
Yeah, 553.
It currently is budgeted for 19,231, and we currently have asked for the same amount.
Yeah, I know. I said, what is it?
Oh, any kind of contracts that we might go into. You know, if we fell short on the equipment rental on something, we'd be able to take it out of contract fees. If we have to hire a concrete person and we fall short in what's proposed in that project, it's kind of a catch-all for any of those things if there's any extra things when you go through on a project. So a lot of them involved going into a contract. So if we end up having something
Is there something particular? Because just looking at the actuals, 5,000, 22,000, and then 4,000, 3,500, 3,300. So is there something?
Let me see if we've got anything
I'm saying,
in the.
let me ask my question, Phil. So is there something particular that you're looking at there?
No, not really. Testing engineering services and any kind of services. So right now, no, we don't have anything in particular, but we do have 3 projects that we're getting ready to look into starting. The one at Fall Creek for the gabion baskets and Goat Creek Cutoff.
Are those contract fees associated with that?
It can be. I mean, it just, like I said, if we end up not having enough in something, then we carry over to contract fees. It kind of is just has been a catch-all for us.
Let me ask you another
Uh-huh.
one. You had, actually, in 2017, you jumped way up to a $22,000 actual. What was that for? Maybe that'll give us an indication.
I don't, to be real honest with you, I don't recall. I could find that answer out for you, though.
Well, it's just from your last actual was 3,300, to jump it to 19,000 in this past year, and you've only spent 3,000 to date.
Right.
So it just looks like a big jump.
Right.
I would,
Especially when you have it down to the nearest dollar. Huh?
right. What I was gonna say, Kelly, can we go back to 410, which is fence repairs?
Uh-huh.
To me, that's a kind of another, we don't know if we're gonna need it.
Uh-huh.
To me, that contract fees can be rolled into contingency. That way you have flexibility to move it if we need it, and we may be able to save some. Because contingencies, $599, you got 15,000. If you went to 25,000 or 30,000 there, it seems like we'd come out ahead.
That's fine.
So we're gonna remove the fence repairs of 16,192.
And contract fees, and then add whatever, 15 or 20,000 to contingencies.
Well, let me ask, I'm going to go back to the question on the contract fees. The projection for year-to-date is going to end about $3,000 more than what we had budgeted.
Disregard the projection cost.
Yeah,
Okay?
just look at actual.
You just look at actual, just the year-to-date? Okay. Yeah.
Because I think your department does need a contingency fund, but it seems easier to put it all in one line.
That would be better.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I'd actually rather have it all in
Sure.
contingency.
A little more flexibility.
Well, yeah, because contract fees just kind of,
That's it.
yeah.
So if we put,
You got 16,000 in fence repair and 19, that's 35,000 right there.
so then the contingency go to
Well, and I think that
35,000, you're cutting 15,000 out of the budget.
Yeah.
I thought the fence repair line item was mainly for repositioning people's fences for right-of-way acquisitions is mainly what that one was for,
Right.
that and
Yeah. I'm not saying we get rid of it, I'm saying you put it in contingency, and if you
Yeah.
need it, we can move it into that.
Yeah.
line.
Right. Good idea.
Kelly, one other one that.
So we're gonna do that, move that to contingency.
You're going to combine those two and then reduce them?
Yeah. I
We
just
didn't
said,
reduce
put
it.
35, in
35,000.
contingency- put 35,000 in contingencies as a total.
That makes sense.
Okay.
But I think that's cutting about 15,000 out of the budget.
Commissioner Harris, did you have a question?
Fuel, it looks like we boosted got a bigger buffer this year and prices have probably gone down a little bit. It just looked like a bigger buffer in there than maybe we could shave a little bit on fuel, 331.
Yeah, I mean, if you all want to,
I mean,
we can, it's hard, it's hard saying,
I
yes,
know.
it's gone down.
darn if you
and,
do, darn if you don't.
Yeah.
But
I don't.
we bumped it up last year and things are a lot lower this year and.
Right now is our highest fuel consumption. We kind of
Yeah.
go along from October till about May, where the fuel, I mean, yeah, you're using it, but once we start hitting seal coat, you start
Sure.
seeing the bills coming through a lot quicker on it. But
How much has the rain slowed things down for you?
Anything says fuel's going up.
I wouldn't,
Huh?
I
Nothing
wouldn't,
says
I
fuel's
wouldn't
going
say
up.
No, no.
real bad.
We can check-
Last
save
year, that 6 to
15,
8
20,000
weeks
real
of
easy.
rain, that really hurt us.
I would think.
her fuel is also mainly diesel,
Mhm.
like mine is gas.
Yeah.
Big difference in price.
Think we could drop it 15, 20, and still be pretty safe, I would think. Any comment?
It's a big unknown, but I mean, you probably.
I know,
could do
but-
some.
It looks like a buffer to me.
10,000, 15,000.
15?
How about 10?
Do I hear 12?
Boy, this is a scientific process, isn't it?
It's one of those, I mean, so much of their budget's so dependent on
Right.
unknowns.
I know.
Control.
But really, honestly, if you guys think 15, I mean,
Hey, if we come down the end, we're gonna get it. I mean,
well, you know, I'll remind you of it if
Oh,
I'm
good.
kidding.
Kelly, a question
Yes.
on coal mix, aggregate, asphalt oil. Those basically came down from this year, the two of them did,
Yes, I dropped them down,
and that's substantial.
yes, it's a 35-mile program,
As opposed to the 50.
yes. Part of it is to help the court balance their budget. The other part of it is, I have some new supervisors that normally would probably have a little bit more time under their belt than what they got and got thrown into a supervisor position. So this upcoming fiscal year, we're going to try to team up with our experienced supervisors with the inexperienced and help that new supervisor get them trained. And so reducing takes a little more time in the training, but I think the following fiscal year, 21, 22, they'll be a lot more comfortable. So to me, it helps the court for right now to drop it. And to be very real with you, I just don't really think we're capable this upcoming fiscal year to be able to hit that 50-mile mark.
So.
This would just be for this.
1 year.
Yes, 1 year, and then we'll bring it back up.
Okay.
So that was my big, try to kind of give back, and it also benefits us to try to get some good training for them.
Good plan.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
it looks like on guardrails, this year we've done a good bit, and looks like we plan on doing a good bit next year.
Well, you know, guardrails are kind of a weird thing. It's like right now the big thing is signs. Somebody is out there taking our signs, knocking them down, taking them. And what's real concerning is a lot of them are stop signs.
Oh, wow.
And so all it takes is to get somebody who's not familiar on a road and they blow through and get T-boned. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know who's doing it. The sheriff's department is well aware of it. The constables are well aware of it. And it's one of those things that after a while, this will pass. You go through phases, and this current fiscal year, we had people hitting guardrails.
Okay.
And, you know, $22,000 worth of guardrail repairs.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, so.
I wanted to hear what you just said, basically.
Yeah, it just, again, that's kind of one of those, you don't really know how to budget for it. I don't have any new projects that Charlie's saying, hey, we ought to be putting a guardrail up. That money is just to repair guardrail that gets hit.
Kelly, in 570, capital outlay.
That one, we were told to not budget anything, that you all were looking at.
You got 130,000.
Yeah, and I don't know where that 130 came from.
That's your current, it was your original current.
I thought our original current was 137.
Yeah, 137 was it.
So I don't know where 130, we didn't put it in. We've already, done all of our capital purchases.
So we take it out, it's not an issue.
Well, you can, but I do have a
No,
list.
Kelly, what do you need, not what we can.
Well, I'll give you each of what we need.
Okay. You know where-
You got one more, Kelly?
Yeah.
You want the kid?
So tractors for mowing and new shredders, dump truck, and then that heated vertical asphalt emulsion storage tank. It's a way for us to have material on site to be able to go and not have to wait for a transport truck to come in. It saves time. I just had to send our distributor driver. He had to leave at 5 o'clock in the morning to go down to Ergon to pick up a load of oil. Bandera County, if you're ever over at Bandera County, at the Sheriff's Department and Animal Services, the Road and Bridge is back there. They have one of those insulated vertical storage tanks. It will heat the emulsion, not enough to, boil it. But it's a direction that I think, whether we do it now or on down the road, I think it will be a time saver for us and not waiting on truck transports to
Would
come.
it be a money saver?
What's that?
Would it be a money saver?
I think so. I think it'd be a money saver. I think it'd be a time saver.
Time is money.
So are we measuring this against the fuel cost to get the trucks out there, or what? How would it save the money?
I would say your fuel costs can be pretty tremendous for those transport trucks to come and bring that. The other part of it is there are times where we need a little bit more oil, and they're not going to just send a tanker for a partial load. You usually go with a full load for them. So I think it would give us more flexibility when we're going to do our seal coat. We would still get a transport, and a transport would
You'd
come
have to
and
have
fill
it.
that tank.
Right, exactly.
Because the transport trucks carry between 5,000 and 7,000 gallons in those tankers.
So you still end up with the same problem
Yeah.
at the end. How do you fix that?
I don't know.
So is this is kind of, it'd be nice to have it, but you're living without it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a smart move one of these days.
So Kelly, there was 130 in the budget request, where it came from. So if you looked at what you say you need or you'd like to have, if you had one of everything rather than two of the John Deeres and the shredders, then that would give you 160,000. And last year you spent 186.
He's cut the quantities.
It was 216. This is added up to one cost.
Last year was 137,000.
Yeah, well, no, that's your budget. And look at the actual, 186.
For the year to date.
18, 19.
Yeah.
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 So maybe 130 is a
Well,
reasonable number.
what's the priority on these?
Right. I talked to one of the crew chiefs. He told me that the shredder's definite. Our shredders are wearing out. They can only be welded so many times. And he said a dump truck.
You don't have a dump truck? Oh, yeah, sorry.
We did,
Yeah.
is that the same type of dump truck we got last year?
Yep.
Guess what? That's 130,000.
It is.
That's where it came from.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't put the 130 in.
So why don't we
Because
leave-
I was asked, where did that 130 come from? I said, I don't know.
I
So
think
let's,
that-
we just
like
figured,
that's it.
leave
Question.
130,000 in there. And you're-
You knew what you were
priority.
going to get, right? You knew that question was going to happen.
I knew it was going to be to prioritize.
I think the issue was whether it's in this budget or it goes under
Cap- oh.
under a tax anticipation note.
Oh, okay.
How we pay for it is
Yeah.
the
Right.
question.
I think it
Okay.
should be in the budget.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they need it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that the equipment in Road and Bridge is very similar to the sheriff's department's cars.
Yes.
When
Yeah,
you start
right.
seeing, it, you've gotta buy some
Percent.
every year, otherwise you're gonna end up
Right.
getting
Getting
caught.
by.
Agreed.
And we were gonna try to get a number, and we haven't yet, but I probably still will follow through with it, just so we have an idea, but we are probably, not this upcoming fiscal year, but the next one, we're gonna have to start thinking about some supervisor trucks. I got 200 and 300,000 miles on supervisor pickup trucks, so,
So what were you saying, Jonathan, move it from budget to,
but they're diesel,
Tax
so,
anticipation note if we do.
Okay.
Well, these, yeah.
they're not
Okay,
gasoline,
good.
that was a
That's the
gasoline.
debate we're gonna have
one,
about
we'd be in
Right.
trouble
finance,
for
and we're trying to
diesel.
just pay it
But
cash.
okay,
You've got
Could
between 2
they,
and 300,000.
use some gas trucks?
They get such horrible
I know.
fuel economy. We've got one supervisor that has a F-350 with the 6.2 liter single rear wheel with an 8-foot bed, and I think he told me he probably gets about 11 miles to the gallon in that truck. They just.
Hey, Kelly, another question on 571,
Mhm.
Whit Road Bridge. That's zero, and that's zero because of our credit
Yes,
for the amount that we have.
Yes, sir.
So we don't need any funds there.
no.
Okay, good enough, perfect. Okay,
Okay, so we did say 130 in the capital outlay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one that I was told, as far as that you were possibly going to do under that capital loan, was 580, the road reconstruction. And for me, whatever way you want to go on that, whether you finance it or you put it in our budget, that's when we contract the roads out. So, and I didn't put the 310 in for requested, it was already there along with that 130, so that I kinda had looked for guidance.
Reconstruction like we just did in Greenwood Forest?
Yes.
So this, the equipment you were talking about renting earlier, this is, how is this different?
It would be very similar. It would be very similar. It would probably be not on longest stretches as some of the total reconstruction. It would be sections of road, like Kelly Creek, for instance, it's only part of that road. The rest of
But with that
it,
equipment you were talking about, with renting it?
Yeah,
if
it's-
you do some of this, it takes.
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
I want to make sure I understood that.
yeah.
okay. Right, that's all I have.
Just to go over the changes, we're reducing fuel by 15,000 to 135,000. We're zeroing out fence repairs, zeroing out contract fees, increasing contingencies from 15 to 30,000.
35.
35,000.
Yeah.
It's coming from the others that were zero.
Right.
All these projects, if we're not, Sutherland, Fall Branch, Peterson, Lane Valley, maintenance
The
facility.
Lane Valley, that one is for right-of-way acquisitions, and that kind of has been what Jonathan has been working on, and I think he probably would like, you don't.
1 year left with one
Okay.
person left.
So that one is not
So we
really
take a break
anything
after
that we,
comment.
Sutherland and
We-
Peterson are finished,
yes.
So they can be zeroed out.
zeroed out,
So we can take out 25,000 for Sutherland Road drainage.
right.
Okay.
That one?
Oh, no,
That's the
that's
drainage.
Okay.
Yeah, Sutherland Road is done, the Sutherland Road.
Sutherland 27 intersections finished, not drainage.
Fall Branch is the one that we're gonna do the gabion baskets, and they'll be the in-kind services, I believe, for the Witt Road Bridge. Charlie, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
And I think the judge signed the contract on that, so that one, Charlie is gonna get a hold of the concrete.
If we can get that done this summer,
Contractor.
we will. And if we can't get it done this summer, it's just gonna have to bump over to next
Mhm.
year. It's just the way it worked with TxDOT, you just couldn't get them off the dead center for a while there.
And Goat Creek, the ditch stabilization is over by that windmill
Windmill Ridge.
development, yes, where it's gouged out pretty good. We
Right.
keep putting stuff in there, and if you get a hard enough rain and a high enough flow, it takes it all out. We had just kind of cleaned it up, and it looked all pretty, and it wasn't the recent rains, it was the last heavy rains that we had gotten probably about 6-8 months ago. and took
Cut
that
off,
all out. But
cut.
the stabilization would hold it, and we wouldn't have to keep doing that, so.
But Charlie, why can't we just eliminate 571 Whit Road Bridge Project, Crossing Street Bridge Project, and Eller?
Because we're gonna probably have to spend money on Crossing Street, or may on Crossing Street, definitely on Taylor on right-of-way acquisition.
We don't have to spend any on Crossing Street.
Crossing Street, I think it's good to have the project on there at $0 because it's under,
Well, okay, just
It's gonna
because
be under
it could be
construction.
something, even though, okay.
but it
Fair
doesn't
enough.
need any money in it. Crossing Street doesn't.
Well, same,
Taylor's-
well, same thing on all those, Whit, Crossing Street, and Naylor, just leave them in there at 0.
Right.
Okay.
Until we know when they're gonna go and if
Okay.
we have any.
Taylor's may need some right-of-way acquisition, but we won't know that for probably another year. So that would be a 2021
Okay.
or 2022
2023 in Naylor. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
following year.
Right. Okay.
Maintenance facility.
We put that in there hoping that someday we'll get time to seal our own parking lot. 'Cause if you've ever been over to the Road and Bridge office, we probably have the worst pavement of any place. Everybody else has better than we have. It's kind of like the mechanic that drives the car that needs repairs.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, is it time for a break?
Well, she.
Got one
she
more?
has- Yeah, well,
Got
she
one
has road,
Road
yeah, her
district.
and Charlie got a couple more, I guess,
Okay.
That road
through
report,
flood
right?
control, I guess.
Yeah.
And street signs.
Yeah.
And then the grant that we got,
Yeah.
that needs to be somewhere, I think.
Yeah, whenever they want to do that. I mean,
Why don't we finish y'all?
So what are we on here, flood control?
We got road districts, flood control, and Shriner Road Trust.
Road district doesn't have anything in.
0.
Oh, that's an easy one. Flood control,
That's the usual riprap repairs.
Yes.
Probably a good place over.
And that's that $250,000. It's
That was for that project. We had taken that one out, not sure if we were gonna get the state grant for that text dot match.
this has pretty much been a placeholder number for us.
Yes.
What project is that?
Tech, Highway 27 Tech Dot project.
We were hoping to get a grant
That's our match for a grant.
for the
And
25.
Put that
mitigation
drainage on.
funds.
Oh, the drainage.
That's not gonna happen?
Drainage.
Oh,
Or it's
We're not gonna get funds from, any hazard mitigation funds from the most recent hurricanes.
okay, that's right, right.
So that can come out?
It currently is out.
It's out.
Yeah, it's out. 0 in the budget. Okay, good.
On a road trust.
We have the money set in a new account, but.
Yeah.
Did y'all have anything that y'all can spend money on?
Sure, yeah.
Well, can we take anything out of your road and bridge account and put in this one?
You
Bridge
can't,
and four?
it can't be done that way. Has to be separate.
Why
Can't be
can't?
mingled.
Are you talking flood control and lateral roads?
No.
No,
Shriner Road.
Shriner Road Trust.
I thought-
Yeah, Shriner's separate, and I think we're trying to get the.
I thought we were trying to build it back
We're trying to
up.
build a fund.
It wasn't making any money, and I thought
Right.
we
It's loose.
switched,
Oh, okay.
yes, we
That's-
switched
We did.
the investment on
That's
it.
the principal listed on here?
Right, but once
Yeah.
it makes some money, Don and I are gonna arm wrestle to see if
Yeah, 1 and
precinct
4.
1 or 4 gets it.
Okay.
Hey, Jonathan, let them fight it out.
Okay.
Okay.
Charlie and I just had a couple things that we wanted to.
This goes back to the road and bridge budget and the annual
What-
report that
tell
you
us
all,
what- Tell us what number you're on.
okay, so we're back on just road and bridge in general.
Bunch of-
There's not a line item.
Oh, okay.
There's not a line item for it. But what we wanted to bring to your attention was when we did this annual report earlier this year that you all approved, and that was so that we could get funding from the county transportation infrastructure fund through TxDOT.
Mhm.
I think we applied for $79,000. We said, hey, we've got these 2 roads that are eligible for up to 180, so we turned in a whole 180, and they came back, and I think just last week, I think everyone got copied. They said, congratulations, you got $91,095 So that helps to offset this next year's budget, which is really wonderful. And what we want to really make sure is that everyone understood that although Kelly has reduced her budget this year in buying oil and rock to put on the roads, the following year, we need to get right back into that 10-year program.
Right.
And she did that because we lost a whole lot of supervisors and we got new supervisors, and it's a good year for training. So it worked out real good with the budget. They coincided. But the other thing that we noticed, and I handed this out in that report, and it really stood out, was the control devices, signs. Basically every day, there's 358 of them over the course of a calendar year that went up for 2019. Every day a new sign is going up to either replace something that got damaged, it got destroyed, the sun wore it out, the wind, whatever's the case.
Sometimes a new request.
And we get new requests for new additional signage, and a lot of times that signage, it's not necessary. It's not in the book, or the book says what you have is enough. You don't need any more. For example, speed limit signs in neighborhoods. If you're in a neighborhood, speed limit's 30. You don't need a sign to tell you that. That's state law. Now, as a courtesy, we can put those up along certain locations because some of these roads are long and people feel like they would feel better if there was a sign right in front of their house. But state law says we only need one at the beginning of the neighborhood that says 30 miles per hour for this whole neighborhood. So we can be strategic and maybe reduce our sign budget over the course of the years. We're concerned every sign we put up, it's there forever, is the way we look at it.
So near parks and schools and things is where I would think you'd want it.
Yes, sir. You got it like that, and it would help if we had a head nod from the court that yes, we want you to be budget minded when you're thinking about these new signs and as requests come in, so that we can very politely say no to some of these requests because it's not necessary.
This isn't just a matter of looking at a sign and telling or thinking it needs to be replaced. You're actually checking with a machine and see if they reflect properly and so on.
Yes, sir. We have a reflect.
So they wear out, they're worn out, you gotta replace them.
Yes, that's correct.
But it's getting to a point where it's starting to get out of hand. And it costs a lot of money. Signs are really expensive. Once you put them in, it's kind of perpetual maintenance. Very
You
rarely
think
do we
people are
go out
taking-
and start removing signs.
You think people are taking our signs?
Yes,
Yes.
They are.
they are.
They knock them
Is
down.
that-
They
is
knock
What we
down the
did-
stop signs.
Is this the
and knock them
COVID kids out of school syndrome?
That's what I think.
Could be.
We had talked with one of the constables. He came over because he had heard that we were having problems with yield and stop signs, and he was really concerned. And he had asked us if we marked our signs, anyway, so you could tell that it was a Kerr County sign. And I said, presently, no, we do now. We bought some scribers to scribe the KCRB in it, and then you probably have seen them on the back of some of the city of Kerrville does them, and TxDOT does. It's an inventory sticker, and you punch out for the month and the year, kind of like you do on a car battery, where you can peel those little stickers out. And it tells you when that sign got installed. Well, after we did that, we had sent out to various law enforcement, sheriff's department, the constables, to let them see how we're starting to mark our signs, because this particular constable said, there are times I've been at a house that it usually is related to drugs or something, and I see signs, and it would be nice to be able to prove that it was a Kerr County sign.
Right.
And if they're not marked, you could swear all day that it's a Kerr County sign, but you have no way to prove it. So we have instigated that and started to use that scriber and the inventory stickers, and so we're trying to do something about it. Still hard to catch them.
Brand inspectors.
Yeah, it's really hard to catch them. So, but it's been a real problem, and then it just seems like everybody thinks that the sign is going to solve all the problems.
So what is the message with this?
I think the overall message is that we need to be very budget mindful when we're putting signs up. They need to follow the book. No
Are you
questions
asking
asked.
for additional funds with this?
No,
or
sir.
is this just for
No,
information?
sir. it's a good time to talk about it because going through this process and this whole report and the purpose of it by state law is that it's used to create your budget.
Okay.
It's used to create your budget. So we've used it to come to you and say, this is how many roads, how many miles of roads we should do. And in the following year, after this next year, we need to get right back on track. That's how many roads we need to do. But it also brought to light that every single day we're putting a new sign up. More than one, because we don't work 365, we work.
Hopefully we'll be dealt a normal year next year.
That is a normal year, that's the problem. That was 2019. I don't know what 2020 is gonna be, this one's an anomaly of some sort. So just looking for, wanted to make sure we got a head nod from the court. Yes, proceed in that way, and as these requests come in, deal with them appropriately. And then the only last thing that I wanted to make sure, and this might be creating a line item, this is more of for the auditors, but since we're going to be getting that grant of $91,095, our grant match is $22,773.86. And I wonder if we should take our oil and rock budget and reduce it by that amount and set it aside and say that it's for that grant. I don't know if that makes it easier for y'all to track, but now's the chance, I think, to create a line item for that. I'd hate to have the budget approved and then have to do a budget amendment to put a line item in there for that later. I don't know if that's necessary, but I think that's the way that auditors like to do it. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
whatever they
It'll
think.
be easier, all we're doing is taking out one line and saying that's gonna be the match, so
Yes.
those will be coded and, yeah.
Okay. And if you were to call it a line item, I would call it the County Transportation Infrastructure Fund. I think that's what it's called. No, yes, CTIF, C-T-I-F.
I don't know if that's gonna fit.
Yeah.
CTIF. You say text.ctif is what you would
There you
do.
go.
But $22,773.86. That was it?
Is there any particular place you would like that coming out of, that makes it easiest for y'all?
The two line items
I would
that,
probably just try to split it as evenly between the aggregate and the emulsion.
Okay.
yep, 551 and 552. Yes.
Thank you. That
You're
is-
welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, that gets us to, would start back with courthouse and related buildings and jail maintenance and that where it'd be?
Yes.
We got some makeup to do, I know.
Jason's here too, if you like to do him on probation.
Yep.
so he can-
When do y'all want to take a break?
Now would
Don
be
wanted
good.
to about 15 minutes ago.
Why don't we take a 5-minute break and we'll reorganize?
Judge, 570.
We're going to go back to juvenile probation, start at, that's 570, I think. Okay, Jason.
Good morning, Judge, or afternoon, sorry, Commissioners. I'm ready, whatever y'all have.
The questions that I had, Jason,
Sure.
and we were told that it was hard to change some of these, was medical, was at 25,000, it doesn't appear that that has ever been reached, any close in 16, 17. And then alternate housing is another one that is, since other than 2016, has not been, has not really been reached. And if those two could be reduced.
Sure. Start with those two. So, short version is, if we're looking at current for this year, obviously, COVID has thrown everything into chaos. And I can tell you as a general rule, what we're seeing is this. We're going to be very, very much under budget. And this is going to be an anomaly year, most likely, by every best guess. So, looking at I'm at the point now where I'm looking at, we may be, if we won't, but if you would have, because I've been able to shift it around, but 3 weeks ago I thought I was going to have to be returning state money. That never happens. I usually run out of state money early. I mean, really early. We'll have a little bit left over, but the bulk of it's there. And the reason for all of that is because basically we're just not getting the cases, the referrals from law enforcement that we normally do. And I won't go into all of that.
Just not going through the courts.
We're not getting the phone call initially. So before it gets to the court, it comes to us. Law enforcement comes up, calls us. We determine what to do with the case at that point, and we're not even getting the phone calls from law enforcement, period. I mean, it's...
No, what I meant was like new cases. You're talking about somebody violating probation, or are we talking about new cases, or both?
Both. The probation violations are not, those numbers are down because we can't detain them anymore.
Yeah, right.
We don't have places to put them because the facilities won't take them. And that's a statewide and maybe even a national issue, but I can tell you in Texas it's huge. The new offenses, we're not getting new detentions, and that's going to cause for a lot of speculation. But we're just not getting the cases coming in this year. I think that once things level out, that it'll go back up. Now, to answer Commissioner Lett's question, specifically on those two line items, prior to me coming in here, there was a budgeting process, Commissioner Letts may remember, whereas there was not enough money being budgeted for juvenile probation specifically. And what was happening was every year, usually in July and August, my predecessor was coming back to Commissioner's Court saying, I need $20,000 this month, I need $12,000 this month, I need X amount, and it was putting the county in a little bit of a bind because that money was not being budgeted, was not put in the budget on the front side. And so when we get into July and August, being the fiscal years in September, it was creating a problem because it just wasn't there. So we will always have, the short answer is we're always going to have money excess in our budget. It's just a matter of how much. And medical is one of those things that we have one kid, and I'm knocking on wood, but we have one kid that has a pretty severe medical problem while they're in custody, and a $30,000 budget may or may not even cover. It may not cover. What is it? And we've had those situations where we've had the $15,000 bill on a kid, and we've had to cover that before.
They're not in our custody very long now, Jason.
No, sir, that's not correct.
Even at the detention facility, we have to pay.
Even
at the
detention facilities are placements.
By custody, you meant as long as we have
correct.
to keep track of them.
Detention, well, as long as they're in custody, meaning in a facility where they're not free to leave. Okay. If we remove that child from their residence and put them anywhere, we're liable for them, and we're financially and medically. So if we have a kid that goes in there and has to have his appendix out, which we've had, we have to pay for it. So, for anything that occurs, because what happens is, the day that they enter, a lot of these kids are on Medicaid, but what happens is the day that they enter a facility, Medicaid stops. So now we're responsible for it. So Kerr County taxpayers are now responsible for it, whereas they were, the feds were picking it up on the federal dime before. Once we remove it from the home, it's now going to be our responsibility to pay for it. Now, back to the question is, it is because we don't want to put the county in a bind and come back in and say, okay, we have a large amount on the medical. That's why. And because that's happened before. We've been able to offset a lot of county, with state funds rather, some of those costs, but we're trying to avoid having those type of problems where we're coming back and saying, well, I have a kid we've got to pay medical bills for, but we can't because it wasn't budgeted. So that's on the medical. The other one.
Is there no insurance for that?
No, sir. I mean,
The jail, you have insurance for that?
No, I don't.
Comes under engine health.
What's the insurance policy that I sat here and watched you negotiate for?
Well, that's a medical contract, not insurance.
So
That's
what?
a contract, the way it costs us to have doctors and nurses at jail 24 hours a day. and cover
On site.
prescriptions on site.
In-house.
In-house, okay.
It's not insurance. The only question I had is can, and I was just asking that, can the indigency, county indigency help with some of his, just like it helps with some of mine?
Probably.
I don't think so.
It will help with a small percentage, and yes, and we'll have cases that we will send through indigent defense occasionally, especially if it's a big cost, if it's not a dental appointment or something along those lines. If it's a big cost, we will try to run that through indigent defense.
Yeah,
Some qualify, some don't.
Because the indigent program restructured some of that where anybody in custody now, unless they have private insurance, qualifies for the indigency. So I would think just about any juvenile has in custody, unless they're from another county. So go back to that kind of stuff.
So
Or
that-
unless it's an expense that is not covered under indigency, such as in.
Right.
So the issue that we have is that we have contracts that we have to comply with. And so, let me just, facility A over here, I mean, it's one thing if we have it in Kerr County Juvenile Detention Facility, we can kind of keep the predators at bay until it goes through the engine process. But if I've got a contract with the facility and I'm in non-compliance and non-payment, they're going to say, come get your kids. And then what happens is, now facility A has cut us off. Well, guess who doesn't want to take our kids? Facility B and C and D, because we're not paying it, because some of these facilities are county owned and they're a little more cooperative, some are private. And unfortunately, the private ones usually provide a little bit better service, especially in the mental health area. That's what we see with Hector Garza in San Antonio. I mean, that's a very expensive facility, provides very expensive psychiatric services. I mean, that's a big cost. Are the psychiatric services? We don't have a psychiatrist available in Kerr County for our kids to contract with, but they have one at Hector Garza, but we're going to pay for that psychiatrist, and it's not cheap. And the meds at the psychiatrist, we try to go generic. Sometimes they'll let us, sometimes they won't. That's on medical. Now, housing. Issue on that is going to be, and you can see a lot of fluctuation. We always try to spend state dollars before we spend county dollars, because basically by state dollars, if we don't spend it, any dollar I can spend in state money is a dollar of Kerr County taxpayer money I don't want to spend, and I don't have to spend. I can try to give it back, which is always the goal. As far as the amounts, I mean, you can just 137,000, 88,000, 69,000. We're at 125 now. I think that cutting it to 100 is a fairly safe number. But we don't know. And we've got two factors that play into it. One, all of the facilities are going up on their rates. Everyone is going up on the rates. Our average for detention
And
a year ago,
25%.
an average for detention a year ago was probably $100 a day. Right now, most of them are going up to $130 a day. So we're seeing a 30% increase in 1 year in detention costs. Placement costs are not jumping that quickly. Detention costs are supply-demand market like anything else. All the detention facilities are completely full. They're not taking kids. Placement costs are going up, but at a slower rate. we're not seeing that as of right now. We do have some detention facilities going $110, but we fully expect that the rates are going to go up for detention and for placements. And we've got three or four of our contracts in right now. Facilities, I'm still waiting on about 8 others to see what they're going to look like as far as rates. I just don't know right now. But that's why
My perception is that the placement rates may go up, but they're gonna go up at a much lower rate because they're full. And so they figure their profit margins and keep operating.
Sure.
On the detentions, it's a seller's market out there right now. The ones that are open, they can pretty much name their price.
Exactly. And I wouldn't, just one last thing, Commissioner Litz, if I may. I really, and I've always kind of had the attitude, and I want to have the attitude that, I mean, you guys guide me. I mean, honestly, I'm not saying, I mean, it is, if we're looking at the medical budget that's $25,000, if we think that we need to cut some off of that, I'm certainly not opposed to that. I just don't want to be in a situation where I'm coming back here in July and going, I need X amount. And if that's, at the same time, you're right, we're sitting on money that maybe we can cut, and I'm not saying we shouldn't. I mean, that's, I'm hoping absolutely for direction on that, and I knew when I came in it was a real problem in 2005, 6, where it was a significant issue, and so the decision was made by myself and the board at that time to, you know, always go get a little bit more than what you need as long as you're going to give it back. But if we need to look at that differently, I mean, open to that as well.
Jason, how about line item 487 training?
Yes. Yeah.
10,000.
Yes, that line item is a good question on that as well. Same thing, I always try to use, with anything, and I don't want to repeat myself, but I always try to use state funds first. We have not been able to do any training this year, hardly at all. We've done online trainings, but and to the point that the state is giving us extensions, and us being statewide, it's not just our department, it's every department, because all of the classes and conferences have been shut down. And there are certain things like physical restraint training, that's a 40-hour class, that's got to be in person, you can't do it online. And so I expect that, unfortunately, next year our training budget is, once things start opening back up, is going to be really high. Because we have delayed everything this year. And we've tried to, even with training, we've tried to put off as much as we can just for the things that are open. We've tried to put those off so that we can avoid health risks.
So it's higher just because of the catch-up?
It'll be higher this next year.
Yeah, okay.
That's why. It'll be higher this next year because I'm going to tell you right now, almost everyone in the department is going to have training for recertification because we haven't had anything in 6 months.
Gotcha.
With this is probably more to Judge Kelly. After being here a year, are you placing about the same percentage of kids into alternate housing as done previously, or more or less?
I think before COVID, we were probably about the same. With COVID, though, everything's changed.
Sure.
I can tell you that our detentions are down, but our placements are pretty consistent. We're going to average about 5 to 6 kids over the last 24 months, 5 to 6 kids at any one time in a placement. Now, I go back before that, and we were at 10 kids a number of years ago, so it's good. We're half of what we were, but it hasn't, the last 24 months or so, it's an ebb and flow. We'll go up to 7, we'll drop down to 2. But I would say 5 is kind of an average number, and that's been pretty consistent. The detentions are that's the difference. When we were detaining, when the JDC was open, we would have 10 in custody at a time. We have 2 as of today. And we would probably have 4 or 5 more if I could find the beds for them, but we don't have the beds.
Jason, how about 335, transportation and juvenile? That looks like it's jumped up a little bit. And, I know we always want buffers and stuff, but we're just trying to get a little closer. If there's justification, looking for an increase this next year,
sure,
let us know.
Yeah, and I think that I'm trying to go on the history. One thing, and I know that I'm just going to remind her, on our year-to-date actuals, we can never really look at those as a real number because I try to spend all the state money first. But the actuals from the previous year are a real number, as Commissioner Letts pointed out. I mean, if you look at 16 or 17, 18, 19, those are going to be closer. 17's a little bit off.
18, 19 is probably the best barometer because that's where we had the kids in placements out of county.
That's right.
And there was a lot of transportation.
That's right.
And that was part of the offset when we closed the JDC.
That's right.
This year, you don't see that because what little we're doing is done by Zoom.
Yeah.
So we're not transporting them.
Well, I'm just looking at the actuals, you know, from.
Yeah.
No, and that's completely right.
But if we open up this next year, they're gonna spend some money on transportation.
But this also, the year you're talking about here, Judge, was higher gas prices and so on, so.
Right.
Exactly.
So you take that into consideration.
Well, we jumped from, let's round it up and so call it 11,000, we're jumping to 15. And, you know, we trim a few.
I'm sorry?
You knock about $3,000-4,000 off them.
We can do anything you want to do.
Well, then take $4,000.
I'm not in a position.
He's easier than I am.
You know, if it's me, if you say cut more, I would say I would probably take some out of the medical. You know, I would think that's an area that I would probably look at, is that medical. The transportation of juveniles, I think that's one. I would really shy away against cutting any more out of alternative housing, 482 at this point. Let me see what else. I mean, those are the two that I would say, if you're going to have some room, I would say medical and transportation are the two that I would feel more comfortable with, especially because the housing costs are going up and it concerns me a little bit.
Could we take 3 out of transportation and maybe another 3 or 4 out of medical?
Judge, since the juvenile board approved this budget, if we make
Oh,
a
that's right.
change to it, the board will have to reapprove it, and y'all's next meeting, I believe, is
August.
It's end of August, 25th, I believe, is the next board meeting.
Probably not worth $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000.
Yeah.
So y'all have a special meeting, but I hate to have to call.
Yeah. Let's take it out of district clerks, that's okay.
For it.
Maybe worthwhile
Well-
next year to have this meeting prior
Sure.
to the board's meeting.
Yeah.
Right. That'd be a good idea.
Good discussion.
Well, it was a good academic exercise.
Yeah. I learned a lot, I did.
Okay.
Do we want to call the departments that we skipped over?
I think so.
Start with the county attorney.
Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
For sure.
No opening statements?
No opening statements. No, I've talked a lot today.
I've got a question. Hey, on 403, contract services are down, which is good. So you went from the budget of 10,000, then you dropped it to 7,000, but the actuals the year before was 7,500. Is that enough?
Yes, sir. I think that it's enough. You know, you never can tell what we need. Some of those have been having outside attorneys for criminal cases in prior years. Some of those were having people come in and talk to us about personnel issues and experts in other fields that we need help with, and that's who we've used that for in the past.
But that's the kind of thing that Kimbrough came out of, correct?
No, that came out of the
Professional services.
professional services
Oh,
for
okay.
the economic development
Oh, okay.
advice.
Yeah,
But this has often been,
okay. So
Like
you're
Sheila.
comfortable with 7?
I am
Okay.
comfortable with that, yes, sir.
Okay, good.
It's pretty clean.
James and Tanya were very helpful. James, she's pointing at James, but,
Good job.
okay,
Good.
He was helpful in that.
thanks, y'all.
Very helpful.
Okay, the next two are Commissioners Court and the County Judge. If you look at those.
We did Commissioners Court.
You did that one?
We
Yeah.
didn't do yours, though.
County courts will.
Well,
Yeah.
I can talk about it in county judge. The big issue is court reporter expense. And we got a whole lot of moving parts. We had an attorney general opinion that came out about a month ago that impacts what we do with court reporter. We had one that came out today that county attorney was just pointing out to me, so we kind of got to go back and figure out how we're going to parse this. But one of the things that I'm trying to do is economize as best we can with digital recordings. And just to kind of give you a brief overview, with regard to the courts that I preside over, there is the Commissioner's Court, and y'all talked about that earlier, and I'll footnote that. But then there is the Juvenile Court, the Mental Health Court, and the Probate Court. And let me just start with probate. On probate, because most of the county judges in Texas are still not attorneys, and never have been attorneys since the Texas Constitution set up county court government. They have a special self-proving will affidavit, that if you follow a certain affidavit format that the legislature gives you, and if that's what is the will, it's very easy to prove up those wills. And I'm able to prove those up now, and in Zoom, we're doing, even here, at about the rate of about 5 minutes per will. And so we'll have a probate docket and prove up 20, 30 wills very quickly. And you don't need a court reporter for that, because the way that the legislature set it up, if you use that affidavit and then you offer your proof of death in your application to probate the will by affidavit form, and all of that is when it's done in person, it is witnessed by the clerk that is there. They say under oath all the necessary facts to probate the will. Now that we're on Zoom, they e-file them with the clerk. I see them in the file. And so you don't need to have a record where you've already got all the required affidavits on file. So when it comes to the probate docket, I don't have hardly anything that you really need a court reporter for.
Mm-hmm.
If there are contested probate matters, then I have to have a court reporter. And I can automatically refer those up to county court at law to handle the contested matters. And even when I've handled them here this past year, I bet you we haven't had maybe 2, 3, 4 hours a month of contested probate. And so it's kind of hard to justify a full court reporter salary with roll-ups and everything, if that's all you need them for. Juvenile, you don't need them at all. Commissioner's Court, you're not required to have them at all. You can have them if you want to, but that's an expense that you voluntarily undertake. Mm-hmm. With regard to mental health, that was the one the Attorney General came out with last month. And when I first asked Heather a year ago or so about what's required and what's not for court reporters, her answer to me was, "Oh, not sure, but probably." And so the Attorney General, after a year, comes out with his opinion, and he says, "Oh, probably." We've got a new one today that might give us a little bit more direction. But the bottom line on mental health is mental health is maybe, at most, maybe 4 or 5 hours a month. We have a hearing in the morning on Zoom. It won't take 15 minutes. It won't take 10 minutes. Those are pretty clear if they need more help or not. And so I've got the expense of the court reporter in there for very little that I actually need. What I was talking about with Commissioner Letts is if you want the court reporter for the Commissioner's Court, then maybe we come up with something, especially with the new Attorney General opinion that came out today, where we can put part of it in the Commissioner's Court budget. So I look at these until we get this worked out with what Ken Paxton came out with today, and we find, and it includes, you can have part-time, but you got to have a employee that is a court reporter or even a court recorder under this new one. So I looked at it briefly. I haven't had a chance to read the opinion. That's kind of where we are, and that's really the only expense that's in play in the county judge budget.
Well, I mean, I would, based on what you're saying, Judge, agree that that salary should, or most of it, should be moved to Commissioner's Court. As I've mentioned many times in court, my concern is not the issue of whether we have a court reporter or go electronic, is that I feel we need to have a written transcript of the proceedings. How we do that, I'm in favor of doing it the most cost-effective way we get accurate record. It means having a court reporter, have a court reporter. It means going with technology, go with technology, but the technology I'd want to verify before we use it.
What I want is something that's easily searchable.
Right, and that goes with the transcript.
Right, correct.
So, but moving it makes sense.
Sure.
Well, we've got these new requirements, whether it's a court recording or a court reporting of what he's requiring us to do.
I think we need to look through that before we go any further on that.
But that's the only moving part of the budget.
I don't see with a recording how you do a search on it.
You do a search just like you do on your computer.
Well, but it's got to be digitized to do a search.
What-
If it's a
You're talking about a
recording,
transcript.
What we're doing in
if it's a verbal recording, you can't search it.
Well, what the city is using, I understand you can. If you can.
I don't think so. You can go by
Well,
subject matter.
Exactly, or the
Well, but you
agenda
go-
item, and you want to skip down to 1.2, you can do that rather than listen to the beginning and what have you.
Well, I've said this before, I'm gonna say it again. I am a little concerned with the fact that everybody just watches a video and doesn't read anything anymore. And I'm not comfortable being a party to that. You having information like this that I can pour over and make my notes on.
Oh, sure.
And that the taxpayer can download it home, read, highlight, do what they want to with, and we can keep a written record like that, is invaluable versus sitting and watching a video.
Or searching a video, or searching a tape recorder.
The historical factor is important. I can tell you right now, people watching right now like this better than getting a transcript a week, 2 weeks later.
If you want to go back 4 or 5 years, we were talking about something today and said, why don't you go back and ask Shirley
Exactly.
to go find that? Well,
The
she couldn't
historical.
find it if she had to go watch a video or go watch
Right.
or listen to an audio tape. If
And
she
we
could
do that
it
all
like
the
that,
time, having to go back in history
So
and
that's what
find
we-
that
so that's-
written transcript.
So that's what we need.
Unless
in my
it can be
judgment.
done.
Well, I think, again, I'm speaking out of school because I haven't read the Attorney General's opinion. But because you have to have somebody that can verify the transcription in the event there's a required transcription. I guess what I would tell you about that, I haven't had a required transcription of any juvenile cases, mental health cases, and what little transcription has been done, and it's precious little in probate, has been at the request of attorneys. And they pay for the transcription. So in terms of my needs for that, are not great. However, in this Attorney
Well, it was
General
never,
opinion,
excuse me, but it was never preserved for you, for your benefit, it's for the taxpayer.
it's preserved for the juvenile respondent,
Well,
it's preserved for the mental
those are the
health respondent.
taxpayers. The people that are, whether it's in your court, whether it's probate court, whatever, every citizen of the county is a taxpayer, basically. So that's what it's for, it's not for us. And sometimes it is for us. We go back through and we look at transcripts and say, I didn't remember saying that.
For Commissioner's Court, it may be for the taxpayer, but for these others, it's for the people that are being adjudicated in those courts.
Yes, but not for you.
No.
You said that it was for you, so I'm just trying to make that distinction. You had never needed it, you said. And I'm not sure that that's exactly what you said, but we could read the transcript and we could see.
Well, I think it is probably what I said, but I'm just talking about, there's been no need in the court over which I preside for any transcription.
Right.
No request.
No request, no need.
I understand.
And, but this new Attorney General opinion has, from what Heather told me in the course of about 90 seconds, it has the need that you got to have somebody, whether it's a recording or reporting, to go through and verify that. What'd they call it, Heather?
Court recorder.
Yeah.
So the summary of the opinion says, the Government Code 52.041 expressly requires that each judge of a court of record to appoint an official court reporter. Accordingly, a court is unlikely to conclude that a judge of a court of record may appoint an official court recorder in lieu of an official court reporter. So what it's saying is that you've got the county judge as a judge of the court of record for the mental health court, for probate court, for juvenile court if necessary, has to appoint a court reporter. And then the opinion goes on to say that that person must be paid. The opinion also points out to other opinions that said it doesn't have to be a full-time position, so that if, for example, what Commissioner Lett said a minute ago, that part of that then could be a commissioner's court expense if you take part of the court reporter to be yours. If you make up for that other part of the not full-time from the judges.
But so that everybody understands the process, whether it's reported or recorded. The testimony and the conduct of the hearing is taken down. If it's recorded, then what Bruce does is he downloads that onto a flash drive and then loads it onto a server. And if there's ever any need, appeal or review or whatsoever, you put it back, you take what's on the server, put it back on a flash drive, and you hire a court reporter to transcribe it. And so if you're talking about appeals, and a lawyer wants to appeal a decision, you get the information off of the server onto a flash drive, and then you hire the court reporter to do it. And what she's saying is they're now saying we have to have somebody to verify the transcription, or whether it's from a recording or a reporting. Basically, isn't that right?
What does that mean, verify the transcription?
Best example is Jody and Region J. Okay? She records those meetings. She then takes the recording, and just to visualize that, takes it, puts it on a flash drive, and she sends it to a court reporter who then transcribes it. When it comes back, what the Attorney General is in effect saying is, we got to have an official person to review the transcript to make sure it's accurate. And you can call them court recorders or court reporters, but there's got to be that review, that final connect.
An inspector.
And so that's what we're trying to sort through.
How accurate is that?
98%.
With ours, because there's a ton of geological terms and acronyms that no one has ever heard before. It just depends, and I have different court reporters on that end that do it.
So
I don't know,
percentage-wise?
percentage-wise, probably 85% accurate. On the regular words, it's okay, but the acronyms are typically, it's kind of comical to listen to what they think was said, just because it's not everyday language by any means.
Sheriff?
The only things I'll say is what we've run across in the past, and what I think we're gonna see a lot more of in the future. If you're recording it by an electronic device, whether you're downloading it onto a flash drive or anything else, are you going to be able to use that 20 years from now? Okay, are you going to be able to get a transcript of that 20 years from now? We have had to go back a number of times over years and pull up by a transcript of what occurred. And that a transcript is easy to get that because it's official recorded, or typed out, whatever, and you can search it and everything else. When it's on a flash drive, or be honest, VHS recorder or digital recorder, cassette recorder, we can't get those anymore.
Right. And
trying to keep that up to date year to year, and Bruce can say that technology, there's some that I can't go back and do. And it makes a big difference whether it's a transcript or not. And I think that can be extremely important in the future.
I think it would be worthwhile for anyone that wants to rely on that recording to go back to Commissioner's Court prior to us hiring a court reporter, and those tapes are in the county clerk's office, and listen to one and try to figure out what was said.
Right.
Yeah.
And nobody's identified or anything else.
And you got to find a cassette recorder because that's how they were done.
Right. And the thing is, we're preserving documents right now in the county clerk's office that are older than us, our parents
Sure.
and our grandparents all put together, and they're still there. You can
Road-
still go through
And
them.
written.
Road and Bridge had to research some stuff back late 1800s on some property out in Precinct 4 just a week or two ago. And you
Still
know,
there.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
still there.
You know, I went back at one point a few years ago and wanted to see who all was sheriff of Kerr County. And so where I got that information, believe it or not, was through court transcripts that had been done of commissioners' court meetings. And it's totally different than anything you've seen printed in any of the history books of the sheriffs of Kerr County. The history books are way wrong compared to what the actual court records show who were the sheriffs of Kerr County and when they served.
Okay. Okay.
So
And
I-
one last example. When people laugh at me because I have a little book in my pocket, my little notes that Jonathan was, I can drop that in the toilet and lose everything. I can dig this back out.
How do you
And
drop
I can
those in
read-
the toilet? It'd be pretty bad.
I can run over it.
People laugh at you?
Only when they read what I wrote.
Okay, those are works in progress. Anything else on those? Then the mental health,
I think we're good on that one.
Yeah.
okay. So then we're back to, y'all did the county-sponsored activities?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're now down to courthouse and related buildings, 510.
Yes.
Afternoon, gentlemen. I was able to make a few cuts. Do y'all have any questions or anything?
Question. On the, your budget's 460, do you have is there anything in there for air conditioners? We keep talking about having to replace air conditioners, et cetera,
No special funds for that. It comes out of my, for the courthouse, it'd be 510, 450. I do a lot of.
Repairs and maintenance.
Okay, all right, so that's where it is, in 450. That's
Yes,
my
sir.
question.
And it also, major repairs if I had
Okay,
to.
you got it in there, okay, good. It's the only question I had.
Juvenile detention repairs.
I had a large spike in that. Last year's, the numbers were pretty good. I had right around $3,700 worth of repair work and service, maintenance service to the generator there. For that alone, that was a kind of a big hit. And then one of our AC units, it was also a large money ticket repair also. And plus, sometimes like a sprinkler repair, they'll quote me a price of $5,000 just to make repairs on replacing sprinkler heads, or that the fire marshal has deemed unworthy or unfit, or whatever, to go in and drain the system, replace the heads, and then bring it back up to code.
Looks pretty good.
What are the contract fees?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else for Shane?
That's it. I would like to note this year for the the church, we're going to paint the inside of that. I'm not asking for any extra money to do that. I don't think we need to, but I think next year the outside of the building is going to really need a lot of work to get that done. Front side is really bad.
I was there with Shane a month and a half, 2 months ago, and that outside was pretty shabby.
How long has that been there? Like 15 years?
20 years.
20 years.
And it's been, since I've been here, painted once since I've been here. probably about 10 years ago, I think. But we'll take care of the inside. Just think for next year, I just want to put it out there for next year, we need to really get the outside done. And it's also the type of windows that were, if y'all remember glazing putty for windows and stuff, that's how those windows were done. They're not the modern type, so we may need to look at getting some window work.
So did you put that in the budget?
No, sir, not this year.
Next year.
For next year?
For next year. But the inside work, we'll do that ourselves. This year, I won't need any extra money for that.
You keep saying this year, but you're talking about next year's budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha.
My apologies.
Okay, all right, good.
Okay,
Next year as in 21, 22.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, that was my
Yeah.
question too, James.
Yeah, then it's budget cycle. Confusing everybody.
Jail maintenance?
jail maintenance?
There's just a line item, 451 jail repairs. What is that? Just miscellaneous repairs?
That covers all of our repairs, plumbing, electrical, fire alarms, sprinklers. That covers all of the maintenance there.
It's been pretty consistent for actuals, okay?
Yes, sir.
Do we anticipate, this looks good, but going up as the new jails get some age on them?
I would think so.
I would definitely anticipate going up, because I think with the age, there's hundreds of just smoke detectors in there that we go through. And just a lot of little water valves for the, even though we put in good water softener system that saved us a lot, but those valves are still gonna go out. Some of those valves are over 400 or 500 a piece, and we've got hundreds of them in there. So now that we're totally out of warranty, it's over 2 years old, I think you better start anticipating some increases in plumbing costs and fire alarm system costs.
Yeah, this here recently with a total cost of nearly $13,000 on an AC repair that was a lot of it was warranty work, and that was the warranty work. So, yeah.
Are the valves in are those calcium buildup or?
Yeah, even though you had, you're talking, Commissioner, you're talking water lines that are less than a quarter inch in diameter. It's all a pressure deal, and each one of them is controlled individually. Every single toilet, every single shower, and every sink is a separate valve that each that controls. So you've got at least 3 in each level.
So is all the water softened that goes into the jail?
Yeah, they go through over a pallet. You're averaging how much salt right now?
We're going through a pallet of salt.
Okay, so that's to protect them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay.
Because a lot of that water lines are copper. And the other thing that you have, as you probably are well aware of, is the ionization of that. If anything metal gets up against that copper, they don't have the insulation right. The next thing you go, no, you got 40 little bitty pinholes in a 6-inch copper tube, pipe. So, and the ionization.
Okay. Anything else on jail maintenance? Parks maintenance?
Sir?
Parks maintenance?
It's pretty much pretty consistent. We did go down on the fuel oil price, fuel oil and maintenance. The trash service was able to cut that quite a bit, and our equipment repair, we was able to bring that down by probably like $1,500 in operating equipment, and per our, because I hadn't been using the projected amount that I asked for. We haven't been using that, so I was able to drop that all in pretty much all of the parks and maintenance.
And no capital outlay.
No, sir.
And this trash service, that's gonna be in there?
Was working with them, yes.
New contract?
No, we split it, I think, into two different departments, which is why you see a reduction there.
So I did work with James on that. And I guess that's it.
And then, Fund 31,
I have a question. What's the difference between Fund 31 and Fund 10,513? Do we need a Fund 31, I guess is the easier way to look at it, in my mind.
I'm researching a lot of that right now. There's several like that, but I'm not sure if they were separated intentionally, and TAC puts out a book, they've updated its line working.
Because I think that it's, in my mind, we could cut 23.5 out of Fund 31 and put maybe 10 additional into major repairs under park maintenance.
There's no revenue that goes into Fund 31 other than tax money that we allocate to it. And it's part of our general funds, not general funds, but general funds. So it's just the way it's always been, and we're looking at ways to improve it.
no, I heard that.
If we could cut off some of these extra funds, it would help. So I would suggest moving it out of, unless there's, an intentional reason that you would like to keep it separate, put it back all in part of the general fund
Right.
where it really is.
Good.
And with that said, in Fund 31 versus the Little League fields, I know change doesn't work out there. I don't know where that money's coming from. So I think we need to probably leave money in that fund. If it's coming out of this line item, we need to, that's why I'm unclear.
Do you know?
Well, we have some things,
No, sir, I don't have any control over that.
It's like, I know in the coming years, because we do own all those facilities now, there's a lot of those, the toilets aren't working real well, the sinks aren't working real well. There's a lot of that type of things that need to be slowly brought up and replaced. I don't know where that money comes from. If it's coming out of Fund 31, I think we need to put more money in. If it's not coming out of that fund, then it doesn't make any difference.
We're taking some of our M&O is going into Fund 31 instead of going into 10. So as far as I'm aware, I think we're self-allocating what that would be every year. So it could just as easily stay as part of general fund rather than pulling a certain amount out, or you're not limited. Right now, this is some of what I'm trying to trace, if we're limited or not on how much you do.
Does that answer my question?
The park sanitary, that's just porta pots and stuff.
Yes, sir.
And that's gone up a little.
Yeah.
That's contracted.
Sir?
That's a contract. We just go get them as needed or what?
Yeah.
Porta pots.
We usually have the same number out there. I know we recently added one.
Well, we took one out and then added we're gonna add one for the England band. And then, but that's one of those seasonal deals, that gets around winter time, we pull it out because it's really not needed.
But there's not a contract.
Not that I know of.
I don't know if they charge by just having it out there or if they charge by
How many times
how many times they
Sure.
What's the funds in Flat Rock and Lions Park and Ingram, what are they intended to be used for?
I mean, one was put up playground equipment or any signage or
But Flat Rock and Lions Park, nothing's been spent year to date, and that's where the playground equipment went in both those parks.
That was a grant or something, wasn't it, Tom?
No,
What was that?
It was in the budget.
We
it
paid
was
for
in,
that?
it was in the
County?
budget. We got sand donated.
Right.
Oh, that's,
Anyway,
These have always been budgeted the same placeholders.
Right. I think we look at, if you can do the research and look at that's all that whole fund.
that's another $6,000.
Yeah, I mean, it seems unnecessary. The whole fund.
Okay.
So what would you propose doing with this then? Putting it in the,
I'd zero it
you're gonna
out,
look at it, put it in the general fund?
zero it out and put a lump sum for park maintenance.
And so then we're gonna see this under the park maintenance.
But not the full amount, I'd probably do a lesser amount because we don't seem to ever use all of it.
Sure.
You can bring it back.
Probably say at least $10,000 or $15,000.
Yeah. Makes sense to me.
Start adding this up, we might save some
Yeah.
money here.
All good.
A little bit.
Anything else with Shane? Okay, thank you, Shane. Appreciate all your hard work. District Clerk, Don Lands. I know you live for this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay quiet this year.
We'll ask questions.
Good job.
Questions on the district clerk budget?
Pretty simple and pretty much the same.
Yeah, pretty much the same. The only thing I would ask is, just jog my memory probably, is the lease copier went up so much last year.
Because I'm under contract with UBO and they own all the printers and I don't have to pay for any of the supplies or.
Got you. I knew you jogged my memory there. I remember that now.
So that saved a lot of money in
Yeah.
office supplies.
Looks like more here, but saving it in other places.
And I did take out, I had some operating capital in there that I took out as well for this upcoming year.
Yep.
That's good.
Came in under. I like that.
Good work.
Thank you.
That's not very much for record preservation, Tom, is it? Is that something special?
I have some dedicated funds,
I mean, you don't have anything, do you?
not in my district clerk budget, but I do have a dedicated fund that,
Okay. I know there's a lot of stuff there.
It's coming. Next one is jury. Any questions on jury?
Those slides just keep going up each year.
I've got a question on postage. It used to be zero, now it's 10,000 and 7,500. What,
I took postage from the district clerk out of
You're
my
just
budget.
moving it.
Because I supply all the postage for JPs,
Okay.
county
Okay.
court at law, plus all the jury summons that go out for the
Okay.
district courts, so.
Thank you.
We were going to get the jury program fixed. I need to ask. I know you're doing all you can.
It's, right now, our system is not compatible, so I'm still hashing it out with Tyler Technologies.
And to refresh
Either
everybody's,
trying to get my money back or see what they can do
Right.
to have us running.
I was going to refresh your recollection, this is paid for, and it doesn't work. So, just keep up the good work.
And it is on there, isn't it?
It is. Okay, next fund, district records management.
I like it.
Yeah.
Zero.
And then we get to the law library.
That one, because we had legislative year, that probably had the most expenses come out. And last year's budget, my understanding was I was supposed to split it with IT as far as the software goes. So I think James worked on that. I have cut a bunch of the books out. I've stopped a lot of the circulations that were coming because the judges prefer going online. So basically all the software that we get is going to be online for their research. So
Are there subscription costs associated with that?
that's what comes out of the books on the law library, yes.
Same cost?
We're under contract, I believe. It started when I came into office for like 3 years, so.
We're just getting the online edition of the same.
Right now, unless specific offices request books, which the JP's office ordered books. The district judges got the new books that came in. So anybody that's been requesting books of any changes, we've provided those. And just FYI, right now, we do not have any computers in the law library. I think there was an issue with one of the computers, someone using it, so there is no access for the public to use. So we need to rectify that so they have access to computers in there.
Today, can we limit that access to just to the books that they need?
Well,
I mean, the books that one would need?
We have a patron's access through the software that we have contract with, and that's how they look up what they need to look up. But right now, I don't have a computer that is running.
That's a required service, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So we need to just get a computer in the law library.
We got a
There
computer
is
to
a
put in.
computer out there.
But it's not working. That I'm
That's the
aware of.
first I've heard of that. It has been working.
As of when?
I've had
I mean,
several
did you have
people-
somebody come and complain, or you looked at it, or what?
Yes.
Making a complaint?
And it's somehow getting into the software that we can't seem to get rectified. I don't know if it's our end, if it's the software end, or what. So right now, we're not allowing anybody into the law library because of the COVID, because then we don't have anybody to clean it. So I'm allowing them to come into my office and use our public computer.
And they can access it easily there, or somebody have to sit over their shoulder and help,
We have to log them in.
which it might be that kind of a problem.
I think there had been a problem prior with somebody getting into some sites that they should not have been able to get into.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why they took the computer
And
out.
and it did corrupt some of those computers. I think that person's one of my guests right now. But, so that part's been handled, but they had to remove that computer and probably go wipe it clean. I think if they set that up, kind of like what we have the law library out at the jail for the inmates, it's the only thing they can get into, which is what needs to be set up here the same way. And then it's a subscription that that company gets set up that way. And then they can get back online with it, but there were some serious issues in there coming up with that.
Okay. Anything else? Clerk tech fee? Nothing? Anything else for the district clerk?
Thank you.
I think
Okay.
Jackie and I share a fund, Fund 28. Did you look at that, Jackie? The only thing I recommended for that is we take out that part-time line item, the monies, because I don't have any part-time, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't have anything. That way, you can probably, the only thing that comes out of that budget right now is the shredded. So that's for our old records preservation, how we get rid of the old records that we've scanned in and we're able to destroy. So that's
We can actually
basically,
eliminate that down $24,000?
yes.
Good.
Nice.
Thank you.
Um,
But you're still paying for the shredded chemical.
We're still, yeah, shred it staying in. This is just salary line items that were in there.
it's gone up that much for over the years?
It depends, how much is
Right.
shredding is done, so like, it can vary from $800 for the courthouse shredding to, you know, depends what the sheriff has shredded, so.
But, you know, it's say $40,000 almost, and, you know,
Yep.
2018-19 is 23 and a half, basically.
I know since this COVID's gone on, we've had lots to shred. We've almost got everything scanned in and preserved. So we're able to get rid of a lot of stuff. I don't know about the sheriff's
There's
records.
still a lot of records that they're trying to have to get scanned in and get shredded.
Okay.
So what happens is on the normal monthly, you've only got a few bags of shredded stuff that have, but during some of that downtime, the departments will be trying to gather up a lot of the old stuff.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you may have 40 boxes of stuff that have to be shredded.
And I know that they have not, I had to call them to come pick up our shred it because of COVID. They weren't coming monthly. So what that means is down there in the storage area, it is packed full. So
They haven't been coming?
no,
They're coming out there?
they haven't come here. I
We're
had to
shredding
call them
more than
twice.
normal.
Hmm.
So.
Same company?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's all part of the same contract. They just stop out there and they stop here.
I'll be gone.
I know we're still shredding.
We're shredding it, just they haven't been here. I finally had to call them.
They do that a lot. They're
Yeah.
not really reliable. They do a good job of shredding, and they shred on site. But you do have to call them frequently to say what happened. I thought y'all were scheduled it. You'll find, oh, well, we changed our, well, you didn't let us know. They changed.
Good hands when he shows up.
Right, you got it. Exactly the way it is.
Time for another call.
Dawn, thank you.
Thank you.
Escape while you can.
Ms. Dowdy,
Got some numbers for y'all, just show you where we're at this year.
Ma'am?
I really like page 2 of the handout because it shows that from January 1st through June 16th of 2020, we're actually over where we were in that same time period in 2018. We're under where we were last year, but we're still over where we were in 2018. So I think we're doing pretty good as far as collections go in the land department.
Good.
And I filled in a lot of the gaps on page 1. I'm still tracking down 2011, 2012 birth records. If you want to see that online. Okay. Any questions on budget?
you did a lot of hard work, Jackie.
Well, I was also gonna, well, thank you. I was also gonna say on line item 403, 485, and 486, I'd like to go ahead and strike those to 0 because most everything's been suspended. I don't see any reason. I don't think we're gonna be going on any conferences this year. So.
You said 485 and what else, Jack?
486, 485, 486.
So you don't think they'll be started up next year?
Not anytime soon, no, no sir.
Now, if we do these things via, doing them online, we're still gonna have
That's
to
true.
pay for those things, right? We're gonna
think
pay
so.
something.
I would think so.
Well, and I did just forget it. Well, there's employee training, line item 216. I'm still gonna have to put in 20 hours
Yeah.
myself. And so on that line item, I have $1,000. I don't have a ruler. I think it's $1,000. I think that's cutting it close to take care of
Jackie, on 562, what was the big increase in computer software?
That is EDOC and I believe the lease copier. I could be wrong about that.
No, this says computer software.
You're right. Let's see. Maybe I put a note somewhere. LexisNexis, $122.50 monthly. So it's LexisNexis and EDOC. EDOC is $11.11 monthly, $1,111 monthly, and LexisNexis currently is $122.50 monthly.
Jackie, I get back on your training, I would, maybe reduce, I wouldn't go to 0 on this.
No, I wouldn't either.
I think that, there may be, like Commissioner Blue said, if they're online, you're still gonna have to pay for them probably. And there may
Okay,
be
well then
something-
I'll put in 1,200.
Okay.
Okay.
So you want both of those 1,200 or one?
The 216 is gonna be 1,000, and then 485 will be 1,200. Probate seminar is definitely canceled, so that's, I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
Okay. Really appreciate the hard work.
Thank you.
Looks good.
I guess I have 141.
I don't think there's much to talk about on records management.
0.
Records archival?
Is that Fund 41?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's the one that I think we're gonna have, that we're gonna need to take a look at as far as taking out a proportion of each deputy clerk's salary, minus the chief, minus myself, and minus the administrative deputy clerk. So a total of 10 employees, deputy clerks, upwards of 50% of their salary, I think, can be taken from Fund 41. But 50%, that's a lot to sustain over the years. So I think a comfortable number would be more like 20%. So if you did 20% of 35,000, is that like 6,000 or 7,000 times 10? That's $70,000, something like that. But I think all that has to be done at the public hearing, I think. Because anything that comes out of this fund has to go through the public hearing, which we just set today. For July 20th.
Well, we'll have a better answer to this when we look at the job description. Yeah. Finalize those.
But you've done so well on the rest of it, I kind of defer to your judgment. If you think 20% is going to work, then.
Okay, that's what I think. I think that's sustainable. I mean, we could even take more for, just for this year alone, because right now, by the end of this fiscal year, I'm projecting roughly $500,000 in that fund.
Well, I'm looking at the way that you're managing your budget, and I'm gonna defer to your judgment on how you want to do this, because
Okay.
you're doing something right.
Okay, well, thank you.
We caught you doing something right.
Just to give the court an idea, we bring in about 200,000 a year in that fund. Right now, we have expenses of 120,000. So if we're able to do, another 70,000 there, we'll break even and still have a large fund balance.
Yeah,
Okay, that'd be good.
good plan, good plan.
I don't think I have anything else in anything else.
No, tech funds, nothing.
No? Very good.
All right,
Whew.
thank you.
We didn't spend much time with you.
See you next week.
Okay. Next, we've got IT.
Since the budget was submitted, we have reduced our software maintenance line item by $28,000.
What line is that, please?
That is 500.
They deducted another, how much?
28,001. And that was because that was pushed to other funds. So it's coming back out of here.
Okay.
overall, our budget is down almost 25% for this year.
Well, I like that.
Well, that's no capital improvements at all, so there's no infrastructure for it in there.
But you bought a lot of computers.
Granted. And there's still more to buy this year.
Bruce, going back to actuals on 500. 200,000 and 218 in the budget request this year is 385.
357, 195.
Yeah. we can-
Okay, 357, all right.
Right.
So
right.
that's still
Would you-
150, that's
Yes.
80% increase.
Yes. There's a one-time software purchase that will have to be done this year, this budget year, and that's for Microsoft Office to get it update so that we're current. And that's $93,050.
How often does that happen?
The
Whenever they-
last one was
whenever
done
they
10
put out
years
new
ago.
product.
Yeah, the last one was done 10 years ago.
But
Oh,
they'll give
is
us
that right?
upgrades as we
10
go.
years ago.
Right.
Okay.
We run it into the ground. It's time
Okay.
to do it to stay current.
So that's the big difference.
That's the big difference.
Okay.
So we had to upgrade to Windows 10 for everybody, but it doesn't come with Office. So
Right.
they made it go.
Okay, all right. Contract services,
Yes.
553.
That is our contract with Hill Country Telephone for the data center that we co-locate our equipment at. That is for RX Technologies, and it is also a placeholder for someone to climb the River Hills Water Tower that we have to have bonded, certified. We can't do it.
Well, just looking at the trend, 15,000, 14,000, 32,000, 64,000.
Right.
Right. Well, we added RX.
We hired RX Technologies last year.
Yeah. And what's their contract worth?
It
I
is,
didn't think it was that much.
No, it's not.
well, it's
It's not that.
almost $1,800 a month. $1,790 a month.
Okay.
So it's 20,000.
Yeah,
You're at, for 31, you had 20, you're at
yeah,
51.
51. And that's for security. Right.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Now, where in here do you have budgeted for this generator and making it?
That's coming, we're gonna try to get it in this year.
That's my budget.
That's his budget.
20,000.
It's gonna be your budget for the courthouse for security.
What I have this year, what we're in right now, is we have put 20,000 in there to move that generator. I doubt that's gonna be enough to move it and hook it up, I don't know. But we had also done another 60,000 in that same budget line item for intercom system at the courthouse. Bruce and I have looked at it, we've got a couple more things to test, but I think we can do some intercom system that will get us through and cover it pretty well with our current system at our current cost. So that could free up most of that 60,000, which will help cover the rest of the cost of the generator. At least get it moved, and then we'll look at the intercom and the rest of it.
That's great. Thank you.
Anything else for Bruce?
Bruce, on the capital outlay, you went to 0?
That's infrastructure.
Huh?
That's for new infrastructure, and we're not going to do any next year
Okay.
unless there's an emergency.
Okay.
Should you put something in there in case there is? that doesn't
I would
quite-
recommend that we do, if we have some kind of placeholder in there.
Well, this
Throw a
is your-
dart.
Well, you
this is
saved
your recommended budget.
$28,000.
You what?
You saved $28,000.
Yeah, you can put that in there.
Well, this is your recommended budget, what do you recommend?
I would think last year we had 277,300. If we put that 28,000 back in, that's 10%. And I think it would be smart.
I think it's risky to, because I don't think a computer breaking would qualify as an emergency.
Right.
So I think you just put 28,000 into that line.
The 20 anyway.
That's pretty tight.
Okay. Anything else for Bruce?
You're never gonna be on the budget.
Probably not.
No, I mean, it's a growing.
It is what it is.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Environmental.
Tomorrow, sir.
Again, Judge, Commissioners. So, our director Ashley went through, and besides employee salaries and benefits, she went through and cut 10% off each of the line items to assist with whatever balancing the budget would help from our department. If you guys have any questions in regards to our budget, gladly answer those.
Well, looks good to me.
Well, these, you know, I'm just looking at actuals from 2018, 2019, and then requested, you know, and I'll start with 216 employee training. Do we see, you got some things planned coming up this next year that you know you're gonna have to do, or?
Well, with Ashley, Tish, and myself, we have to sustain our credit hours for our licenses. And because our licenses aren't always falling on the same year, we do have to pay the cost for the training on those, and of course, room and board for that. If the whole COVID situation opens back up and we're able to attend those conferences and training, that's what that's for. I know they do provide online training, but we still do have to provide the funding for that.
Okay. And fuel and maintenance, 331.
Fuel and maintenance, that covers all our, of course, fuel and maintenance for the vehicles. That's our highest line item. Our vehicles, we still have 2008 Ford trucks. One of them has 170,000 miles, the other one has about 90,000 miles. We've kept that about the same just for any major repairs. For example, we had one of our vehicles go down this past year, and it did take a hit on that as far as around $4,000 to repair that. So we always try to keep that at that level.
And 434? That's a small one, but.
The 434, the on-site council fees, that is for our OSSF fees for TCQ. Those are fees that we have to pay, and they're done every quarter, and those fees stay roughly the same. It fluctuates based on the permits that we issued in the county. It's $10 for every permit that we issue for that quarter.
It just looks like a pretty good buffer.
You'd probably cut that down to 2,000, you'd say.
And then, yeah, I would think so, and maybe in the operating. I mean, we've never got over, in the actuals, barely over 400, and we got 1,400 requested. You know, just small things like that. Looks like we could cut some, and looks like we're just over budgeting it a little bit. You'd probably cut that one in half and still be real safe. Go 1,400, from 1,400 to 700.
Still 10%.
You could take 500 off 434 and still be way above what they've spent before. And the maintenance stuff, that's a scary one. You never know.
Exactly.
And you got 12-year-old vehicles. But.
What was the recommended, Commissioner Letts, for the on-site?
2,000.
Operating equipment is 700, and we're leaving up fuel maintenance.
Yeah.
As is.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest unknown.
Those all-
Especially
Yeah.
vehicles that.
Yeah, you bet. I was just thinking, If it's fuel, then we cut it, the others that come up, but with that one combined.
Anything else for tomorrow?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Run while you can.
No escape.
That's it, bye.
Okay, the next one is public relations,
I think the only change here was the
longevity at the top.
longevity. That's correct.
Nothing we can do about that.
Looks good.
Sure.
Wow, I'm worried about that. Until at least I have to make sure they're covered.
Yeah, you did a good job.
Give her a
Hope
call
she's
right
watching.
now. Tell her
Crime victims' rights.
You fought hard for her.
I'm just here to answer questions and
Well, the background on this one is we had to completely reorganize how we're doing crime victims when Carolyn resigned. And so we went back to a full-time and a part-time staff. And we submitted the grant application and got it. All of this is being paid for through the ACOG grants, CJAC grants. And I think we even got our matching portion of the grant waived because of COVID.
yes,
So,
which is a
really?
little more
Yeah.
convoluted than that. I think we've discovered, it doesn't take away the 20% necessarily. What it does, it makes us not have to report it. Is that pretty much, I'm deferring because we've had to kind of go back and forth. So it was a little misleading at first that they took the 20% away. The 20% match is still there. We're just not accountable back to the OOG for it. So, I mean, it kind of was a nothing. But the kind of what Judge Kelly said, that was we had to do some shifting around. Of course, this is the same exact thing that I did in the grant, but we had to cut pretty lean to be competitive, which is why I went down to a part-time clerical person, not another, professional master's degree person. Luckily, we lucked onto one of those, but she is a part-time person. We cut pretty lean and everything else too. Training, cut that down pretty well. So, anybody have any?
Good job.
Good.
Okay. Run while you can.
Well, you
Good
know
job.
it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, now the auditors get to come front and center.
The problem.
We have worked diligently to follow the court's recommendation of reducing our operating expenditures by 10%. I'm happy to say we exceeded that at 11%.
You always know the money people, don't you?
Yeah. At least we have someone with sense of humor.
It's been a long day.
Hey, this has been a real team effort, guys.
Yeah, without a doubt. And y'all are team players by far.
We do operate similar to a juvenile probation where the district judges are the ultimate ones who set our budget. We have not had that meeting yet, but this is the budget we plan to present to them.
That's good.
I'd like to say one thing that from this year, I know they sent out a deal requesting that all department heads and elected officials actually come in and meet with them over our budgets. And James and both took the time to go over that, and I thought I did great until I got up to leave, and then James told me, no, wait a minute, I haven't said what I want to. So that got an eye opener, but it was amazing to know how well they know each of our budgets, and I really appreciate that.
And how hard they've worked to try to balance this budget for us. And that's very much appreciated. It's not lost on us. Okay, we ready for non-departmental?
Yes, we have a lot in here. It's a lot to unpack. Really, most of this it's kind of set in terms of workers' comp, retiree health insurance, things of that nature, as well as a KCAT contract. Some of it is up for discussion. I think probably the main thing in here is going to be the very top number, 70,000. Now we had first, this is for the line item 107, estimated increases in retirement. When we had originally done the proposed budget and the judge had given us his, we were not sure what our retirement rate was going to be. By some miracle, it actually came in slightly less, which really surprised me given the economy. That being said, we had a placeholder in here of 70,000. Left it in here for the court to discuss. The reason it's in there is we have the option to make additional payments to TCDRS, and the reason we would do that is if we are underfunded in our retirement system, which we are. I believe right now we're somewhere around 88, 89% funded between the retirement that we guarantee our employees and what is actually in the account. And if we ever choose to make up that gap, now would be time to do that with the market low. So that, we just kept that placeholder in there. We are not required to pay that. Would it be good for our employees to have a funded retirement system?
Can you explain to me, is that has to be on deposit or invested?
I'm sorry?
The difference that you're talking about, or coming up with the difference of, what is it, 11 more
11%.
Is that, do we do that by having that cash on deposit? Or are you talking about investment? The way you said that made me think.
TCDRS, I believe, holds that. So they
It's
take our.
invested.
And were you talking about it being a good time because of the rates? So,
Well, it's a good time because we had anticipated an increase in the amount that we have to give TCDRS, which is that 70,000. I was thinking would probably be it. Our rates actually came in almost exactly, slightly less than what we have. So we already have our retirement built into all of our departments. This placeholder here is if we want to pay in addition to our minimum rates to close the gap that we have.
and that would do it, 70,000?
No.
No.
Okay, well, I didn't think
so. It's a small piece of the puzzle, but it's referred to as the UAL, the unfunded actuarially accrued liability, and it's I don't remember the exact dollar amount, but in order to try to get back up to 100% funded, we can do contributions in excess of our minimum.
It'd probably be a good, I think it's a good idea to do it. 88%, that you said 88 right now?
Yes.
That's a little bit on the low side. I mean, it's not uncommon to be over 100%. So, I think it's, because at some point, that money has to be made up because the people that are employees are owed the money. So if we can chip away at it, it's certainly a lot better than kicking the can down the road and sticking some other court with it.
So it can become a very large number. I mean, there's some cities and counties that have gone bankrupt because they can't.
Yeah, right.
If this won't do a whole lot, I mean, what kind of percentage is that going to?
I don't have that answer for you. It's a good question. I can look at our last study. I think TCDRS gave us that information. It has the unfunded amount and percentage.
Well,
James, on 103 and 104, what is that, those two line items?
We removed those. Those were placeholders for the DAs. If you remember, we used fund balance to cover a portion of both DAs last year. And since we were spending down that savings account, we knew we had to go back to our original contribution amount, and those were the differences. So last year, or in the current year, we got a one-time reprieve. So we didn't have to contribute as much as we usually do. But
This
since
is
we
just
spent-
replacing their fund balance.
Yeah, since we spent that fund balance down.
is line item 205, insurance liability, is that property insurance?
I don't believe so, no, sir. That is other types of insurance, public official liability, and
Where's property?
Property insurance a little further down, I think. Line 480.
Yeah. In that insurance liability, that include bonds and stuff like that? Lumped into there?
It includes like 4 different insurances. I know public official liability, it's, if there's an election of official that makes, has fraud or something, they'll cover against that.
In what way? Covers the county against?
I'm not an insurance expert. We'll have to ask our insurance
We got-
administrator.
If somebody committed a crime, elected official, what would that protect the county from paying for this insurance?
I mean, if someone sued an elected official and they're bonded and covered.
Rusty gets sued all the time.
Yeah, right. So does this protect our professional defendant over there?
Yeah.
Have your professional defendant, believe me.
Okay, I'm just curious about it.
The question on the, 480 on the property insurance, I think the amount in here is not increased that much. And I know that Penny and I spent a lot of time looking at the wastewater project. The best numbers we have were included in this number.
At this time, yes, we're still waiting on them to get back with us. They got the underline, which I believe is looking at.
It's been quite the challenge to figure out. It seems like we're the first county that's ever asked this question as to how you insure a wastewater project. And it's been difficult to come up with an answer, or for them to come up with an
What's the preliminary response?
Not that bad. I mean, the everything in the ground, all the piping is not really insurable.
You're right.
They determined, and so they mainly left it lift stations, and it's trying to figure out the value that you're actually insuring there, and it looks like what about 50% of the cost is what you actually insure
Okay.
of each lift station. So it's not huge. It's
And
not a big
then
number.
the WCID facility itself, that's theirs.
That's theirs.
That's theirs, okay. That would probably be
That's a big
big,
item.
okay.
So there's those things aren't warranted with extended warranty or anything like that? What would you be
All the
insuring
pumps
for?
and things.
Failure or?
Well, lightning strike at a lift station.
Right,
Which would knock out the electrical panel and the pumps and
That's
burn
not
up,
covered.
and that could be, that could be $100,000.
Okay, makes sense. And nobody's requested that before?
Well, they're just having a hard time, I guess not the way we've asked, because they've had a very hard time coming up with how to do it. I thought it was a simple question, but evidently it wasn't. Maybe others just don't worry about it, because there are the county-operated facilities.
Maybe it's just like asking for a corrugated lamp. People just don't know what they're asking for.
And that's what it is, it's a county-operated facility.
Yeah.
For utility.
Anything else on the auditor?
And that, contingency, we just move stuff over there, right?
Correct, yeah, you won't see a lot of expenses. It's just kind of, difficult to understand when you get to budget time, but we do budget adjustments out of it.
Right.
And the capital outlay on 570 went to zero because of looking at, Judge, that's where we're looking at bonds or something like that?
The capital outlay that was in there was for, that we had spent in the last couple of years for insurance repairs, to various buildings.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And back on line 199, payroll contingency.
Yes.
What is that? What is
Yes, this is well, we've used this for several days in the past. I'm sure you recall that we had some recent retirees who had contested the rate they were paid. But this could also be used for departments who budget group insurance at a certain rate. Maybe they have a new hire that comes in with a family. Those plans are $10,000 more than an employee only. If they need some help, we can do budget adjustments out of there. Also, if there's some payroll accrual, say we happen to have, landed in a time where we have to accrue back almost a full pay period, that can come to help with that as well.
Seems like it's over budgeting, considering this year we haven't, or do we transfer money out of it?
These are most likely budget adjustments, not expenses. So you won't see those come up as expenses if you're trying to look towards trends.
Still seems a little high to me, but, and the question about salaries, employees, I've talked to Tanya about, is to whether we budget a negative in the salary line item to account for, to try to have a more accurate budget. Budget a negative item under non-departmental, what that was talked about, non-departmental, to account for the fact that we know that we're not 100% staffed all the time. And is that in here?
It is not at this time.
So it's kind of an idea, I guess, to the court. The reason I brought it up, you know, do we want to do that or not? I mean, the reason we frequently, in my opinion anyway, the reason we frequently have money left over at the end of our budget is because of salaries. And if we're trying to do a balanced budget going in, then this would make sense to do, because we know that we're gonna do it, but that also makes us much less likely to have much of a, you know, increase.
Right.
And do keep in mind, that's a good idea. Two of our biggest departments, the jail and the sheriff, who have a lot of turnover, we have purposely under budgeted its overtime, knowing that we probably will have open positions, that we can do budget adjustments into that. So that kind of makes up the gap, but for every other department, currently we don't have a way of accounting for possible turnover savings.
And Penny, what was the 10, what was the number of turnover?
Yeah, we were at about 11% last year, and it seems like it was about 14 this year, and I had those backwards, so somewhere around there, which, you know, we would never go in at 10%, that's way too high. Even looking at 5% with it being the first year, you know, looking at it, that would still be pretty high. So I think I did it a couple of different ways. If we went in, I believe it was at somewhere around 3%. It was about almost 400,000. If we did it a different way, I like to look at how long a position stays open. So if you have an average position that's going to take 2 months to fill, and you're making about, the average salary is about $50,000 a year, then you can take that over the 2 months times, if you have 30 people with your turnover, then you've got an amount that's more likely. So it's not really based on your turnover or how much positions, it's how long it takes to fill those positions. So one of them being pretty conservative was around 200,000, one of them being pretty conservative was about 300,000. And some of that is taken this year, knowing that we under budget their overtime, you know. So again, it does get it closer. Looking back through the years, I think, James, we looked at it like last year, or maybe 2 years ago, it was about 50% of what we saved was due to payroll areas. And then last year, when we looked at it, it was about $800,000, I think. But, you know, you have to offset that with a year like we're in right now, people are going to keep their jobs more just because of the uncertainty that we're in.
Sure.
So, you know, do you start this year, do you say, okay, we're kind of projecting it a couple of different ways and look at it more for this next year? Do you zero out contingency almost, just knowing that you may find it in another fund if you start looking for money? It's kind of like whichever one you would like to do.
And this year was the first year that we actually covered everything in the overtime budget that we had covered. You know, we didn't allow that to build up, and where that really affected us is you've got 13 holidays that every employee is getting paid when we're talking deputies and jailers, and that's what really helped us this current year. We put my overtime budget where it's normally about 45,000 in the sheriff's office. Actuals were over 110, 120,000. So that's a major difference that we're making up out of the salary line item in the funding. So you have to watch that.
Rusty, did some of that come from the theater deal? A lot
There
of
was a portion, but the theater was only about maybe 10 or 12,000 at the most.
Okay.
Okay. Most of it is coming from holidays.
Right.
Okay.
I
And that's
understand that.
about
But I knew that 1 day deal.
Yeah, that cost us a lot, and such as unfortunately the drowning we had last night,
Right.
yesterday. I did have to call in other ones on that, and that was a shift, but you're only talking a couple hours.
Right.
10 officers at a couple hours, that's up.
I just brought it up.
Well, it's a good thing to bring up, because we talked about at the very, very beginning of the process. We're gonna do realistic budgeting, then you need to put something in there for not full employment.
And it made when Tandy and I talked about it, it made a lot more sense to do it as a negative payroll and a non-departmental as opposed to trying to figure out what departments and divide it up. That made no sense to be able to do it, so it would be.
I like the way Tandy was saying a while ago, so many months of filling a position and certain percentage of the employees and average say, what would you come up there, about 300,000? Is that what you said? Like that?
It was closer to 200,000.
200,000. And then taking in the difference the way you did the sheriff.
And like filling a position here at the courthouse is probably not that long. But filling a position at the sheriff's office or jail is a whole lot longer.
Right.
Because it takes certain qualifications. It takes physical, psychological, drug screens, about 3-4 different interview boards. Like I told Candy, she asked me, deputy-wise, it can take 4 months to fill one position.
And some of that is, I always forget to tack on how long it takes after you hire somebody. Generally they're having to give notice also. So that's wrapped into some of that 2 months also.
Right. Like giving a couple of
So
notice.
it's 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Could
Two.
So I'd recommend putting 200,000, 250 somewhere in there, which is a conservative.
200 in light of what they did with the
Well,
sheriff.
I would feel more comfortable if they actually tried to go in and crunch the numbers on some logical basis, just like you're talking about. Because if we do that, instead of just plugging a number in, we can always plug a number in, but it's just it's a whack. It's a wild guess. We're not sure it's going to work or not.
So
In the budget experience, if we keep doing this year after year, we're going to get a lot more experience, and we're going to get a lot better at being able to predict accurate adjustments to get this budget so that we know really what we're spending and not just see the surplus come drifting in after the end of the fiscal year. So I think it's a good idea.
I think that's what Candy did.
Yeah, she did, 3% or
She's done a lot.
$7,753.20.
So
pretty close.
So we do that, and next year we'll see how close we were.
Yeah.
And start getting
And just keep
some
it
data
low.
that we can draw back on with, just historically, this is what it works.
Would be conservative, which was 200,000.
Yeah.
And that was based on the positions that are most frequently vacant.
Yes. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I have a
One
question
other
about
thing.
the COVID stuff here. It's got $183,000 in the current budget, and everything else is zeroed out. What does that mean?
Well, that one we're gonna have to kind of probably wait closer till we get to the end.
Is that a punt? That's a placeholder thing?
Well, we don't know how much we're gonna spend this year, so if we spend
Which one
the
you want?
entire amount, then we won't have a budget next year, based on the 20% we've already received. But if we only spend 83,000, then I know we can plug in 100,000 for next
So
year.
it's a placeholder.
Correct.
Okay.
And also, there's we're up for like $1.4 million, and we do have a teleconference, I guess, tomorrow with someone to talk to about helping us determine how to get the most money or the best
The consultant to
program,
help us know how to,
what we need to bring.
what we can use the money for.
Spend all of that.
Okay, and we already got some money.
Yes.
Yeah,
How much
about
was
291.
that? That was
291,000.
291,000.
James
So-
on,
And we're meeting with them tomorrow.
Tomorrow at noon.
Well, with the 291,000,
Yes.
we still need this 183 in here as a placeholder?
That 183 is part of the 291.
Okay.
The rest of it was distributed to the courts, maintenance, IT. They each got
That's actual
10,000.
money.
Yeah, that's it. We've already received that money.
Okay, all right.
On line item 190, one-time merit pay. So we're not gonna do that? I'm asking the court. Not gonna do that this next year?
Not this year.
Nope.
This is part of our COVID bill payment.
Huh?
But we also have
This
the
is the merit
salaries.
pay, huh?
We also have the salary study that I believe will be beginning at the end of this fiscal year.
That's 50,000.
Yes, and we did budget 40,000 for whatever portion is unfinished this year.
And the autopsy inquest, I'm curious about
Yeah,
that.
I saw that.
Tell us about that.
I think the judge might be better. That one just goes up and up and up.
Autopsies are very expensive and they're having to be wasted.
Oh, I know that, but
We
I
used to
mean, we've
use,
gone way, way, way up.
We used to use a local company. I think their backlog was so long that we went to someone, I think in Travis County.
Right.
They're more expensive, but they expedite the process so you can tell the victim's family, a lot sooner. But yeah, that one seems to be going up and up.
Well, and I hate to say it, but in this COVID pandemic, it's a seller's market.
Sure, and then a lot of people wanted to know exactly what their loved one
And
passed.
so, more people, it's supply and demand.
Of course.
Unattended deaths have to have an autopsy too, so that adds, JPs don't have a choice, and so they have to wait.
What did you say at the beginning, Rusty? I couldn't hear.
Unattended deaths.
Require autopsy.
Okay.
Were there more of those during all this lockdown? People that didn't get checked on?
I know we've had more calls, so, it's just like, we run most all our death cases, unattended death cases through grand jury. And normally it's 2 or 3. This last grand jury, we went 13.
Wow.
Unattended. Of course, grand juries got pushed off too, but
Sure.
there seems to be more unattended deaths.
Because we're not going out and checking on people, we need to be doing that.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you what the cause is, but it is an issue.
Okay, anything else for James on the auditor's budget? Non-departmental. Okay. So now we go to Fund 49.
Yes, this is unclaimed capital credits. I believe this is where we pay our portion of the Economic Development Corporation.
Right.
It's not 37.5. Then what's the jump from 22.5?
22.5, I think.
Yeah.
Came down a little bit.
It's even better.
I was told
Huh?
37.5.
Yeah, I thought it was 37.
Okay.
Yeah, 22.5, I think.
22.5.
Verify that, but I believe that's it.
That's what you said the other day.
45,000 this year.
Yeah, but that was from memory too. Yeah.
And we're old.
Yeah.
So
Check.
they went from 46,000 to 22.5.
No, it wasn't 46.
It was 25
It was 25.
last year, and we only budgeted 24.5, and we told them they were only gonna get what they asked for. We were a little bit short. So this year, and it was cut from last year, I believe it was 22.5.
No, we
That
gave them
sounds right.
45,920 this year. That's what they came in and presented. Then they went to a different meeting, bumped us up to 50,000, and we only paid what they had presented to the court. We didn't pay them the extra $4,080.
We'll verify.
Let me look at that and I'll.
We'll verify
Okay.
the number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they've been pretty consistent. All right. That's all there is in Fund 49.
Okay, let's go to jail expansion.
All right. The rest of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rest of these 6 funds are all debt service funds. We've already updated with our interest and principal payments. They are what they are.
No debate.
There's no debate in these. We gotta pay them even if the courthouse is shut down.
Okay, it's 5:20. It's been a long day. We have anything else we need to do at this budget workshop? And we're adjourned.